Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Nautical Explosion. 5 Elders, how many divisions do you have? Chapter 61. Golden clouds formed by endless firepower. Right in sight, Kaido was unexpected. But there is no scruple. More of a rage. Disgrace. His own base camp was taken down. I was still being targeted by such terrible fire. The other side acts rampantly. I didn't put myself in my eyes at all. Find death. Kaido changes from the green dragon posture back to the human form. Holding the mace, the muscle swelled all over his body. Tall and burly, with black hair and shawls, full of wildness. A pair of sharp dragon horns pointed to the sky, revealing their edges. More than 7 meters tall, with a strong sense of oppression. The surrounding storm and clouds also became turbulent because of his emotions at this moment. He has an X-shaped scar on his right abdomen, hideous and domineering. He glared at the rolling Wang Yang metal storm. Holding a mace in one hand, it is majestic. Extremely violent. Ordinary strong people see Kaido. Just this physical oppression, enough to make them shiver. The whole Wano Kuni looks at the angry Kaido on the live broadcast. They are terrified in their hearts. Many are pale. Think of the fear of being dominated by Kaido all these years. This monster. Kazuki Hiyori's heart was beating restlessly. Kaido, Mad Dead Lang, Hisong and the others looked up. Eyes full of crazy hatred. It was because of Kaido that they lost Odin. Lose the country, lose everything. Zzz. Kaido pinched the mace, and Conqueror's haki subconsciously wrapped up. Face such unprecedented terrifying firepower. And the climb of his anger. He didn't deliberately control his power. The clouds around were shredded by the power that permeated Kaido. The sea water churns violently. Thunder. 8 trigrams. Click. He swept a domineering and terrifying stick towards the rushing metal clouds. The stick is out, the wind and clouds are shattered, and the lightning shines in the sky. It's like a demon god is furious. Bang. Terrifying power poured out from the mace. Face to face with this metal storm. With a loud bang, the entire sky was instantly ignited. All shells were detonated. A sea of fire spread over the entire sky. The shockwave lifts Kaido's coat. You can't shake him back half a step. Just one blow made countless people feel desperate. So terrifying fire coverage, but he didn't even touch it himself. Grunt. The people of Wano Kuni gulped. Can this kind of monster really be defeated? Keep bombing, Ren said expressionlessly. So, Wano Kuni's firepower roared again. His troops are unlimited firepower. Afraid of what? As long as Kaido comes to fight. He is not afraid. In the next second, one after another golden clouds were accompanied by a deafening cannon sound. Fly towards Kaido in the air again. Will it just be these little tricks? Well, Kaido's observation haki has gradually expanded. At once, he caught Morgans not far behind him. He turned back with a frosty face. Staring at Morgans. You also have a part in the Wano Kuni thing. Morgans, who was targeted by Kaido, instantly had a numb scalp. That terrifying anger and haki made him, the news bird king, can't help but sweat coldly. Kaido is a monster known for its combat power. He's a journalist. In terms of strength, it is naturally impossible to be his opponent. It's okay with me, didn't you let me come to Wano Kuni? I just wanted to document this fool who dared to challenge 4 emperors and see how he died. Morgans said quickly. Humph, preferably not. Kaido remembered that this had happened. I didn't care much. He wanted to enter Wano Kuni. Pinch to death the madman who dared to beat their attention. Ember, go to the island, see what is going on with Quinn. Kaido alone stops all the fire. Heat. A terrifying stream of fire erupted from Kaido's mouth. The entire golden cloud in front of him was violently shredded by him again. Terrifying explosions resounded throughout the sky. Yes, Ember transforms into a pterosaur form and falls towards the ground of Wano Kuni with flames. Missile bombs in the air, of course. Most of them were stopped by Kaido. Really, this first round of artillery is for Kaido. How this guy came first. Ren felt a pity. The whole of Wano Kuni, every village, every mountain. He has arranged super firepower. It's just to wait for Kaido to get close overhead. Then at the same time, it will be threatened, drowning it. The golden clouds just now were only consumed before Kaido descended on Wano Kuni. Endless metal barrage one after another. because the coverage is extremely wide. Each piece of Kaido can only choose to fight back or resist hard. He can consume as much power as he can. This kind of monster, Ren does not dare to put closer and consume again. Ember's strength cannot be underestimated, then activate the firepower of his area. Ren teleportation command. That is, the members of Beast's pirates, all dead. Embers are extremely fast. Kaido tears through the metal storm clouds instantly. He sees the opportunity to rush forward and approach the area above the waterfall. His eyes suddenly froze, and he saw corpses everywhere. In addition to the members of Beast's pirates, and the allied ones. Here alone, he saw no less than thousands of corpses. The ground is still charred black, and with Mars in it. As you can imagine, this is a bloody war that happened not long ago. There aren't any standing Beast's pirates members here. His heart was suddenly full of unease. If everyone is taken down or killed, even if you can destroy the invaders this time, they also suffered heavy losses. Suddenly, his observation Haki sensed danger, as well as the many breaths of life in the mountains and jungles. There is an ambush. In the next second, a radius of 10 kilometers lit up. A metal storm that was denser than just now rose from the ground. Gather fire on him. Hundreds of thousands of shells came. What a feeling. Probably every inch within the naked eye is the shadow of a shell. So many shells. Ember's heart sank. Draw out the long sword and slash out with a sword, with the flames unique to his race. The flames swept away like splashes of ink, bursting this dense metal storm. But he didn't have time to retract his gesture yet. More powerful missiles struck with tail flames. But no longer in the same direction. It's as if these shells came to life. Flexibility in the air. Bombarded from all sides. There are no intervals. Ember understood immediately. The first round of attacks is just bait. He turned into a pterosaur, his wings shook, and his speed was like electricity. In an instant, a graceful arc streaked through the air. He is confident at his own pace. Easily dodged those strip shells. After the speed climbed, he looked back. But the eyes are slightly condensed, those shells that should have been empty. He turned his direction strangely and followed him. And this shell, can you lock me? Ember was slightly surprised. Since you can't get rid of it, then destroy. Yan Huang. Fireballs burst out of him. Scattered in all directions, colliding with the incoming shells. There was a terrifying explosion. The range of fire for each explosion is extremely wide. The shock wave is extremely powerful. Let Ember understand in an instant. This kind of shell has extremely terrifying firepower. But before he could breathe down, a wider range of golden clouds lit up below Wanokuni. There was no stop to attack. These guys. Ember's face sank. Did he want to consume him alive? But how many troops are needed for this? In order to launch a continuous bombardment of yourself without a second apart. Thundered. At this time, a dense flock of iron birds flew from the sky. Fly extremely high, skim through the sky. Bombshells poured down like a rainstorm. Fluffy. And the coastline, countless warships, artillery fired at the same time. The line of fire from the side also hits. From top to bottom, there are enemy artillery attacks everywhere. And the density makes the embers a little numb. He attacked several times in a row. Not even taking a breath. It was covered by artillery again. Armed, Ember had to mobilize armament Haki to cover the wings. Then wrapped himself up. All bombs, missiles poured down in an instant. The amount of artillery fire from the other side is too dense. He knew that this time he couldn't dodge completely. And his defenses are extremely strong. Then resist. Boom. Endless shells poured down. Ember thought about carrying this wave of bombing. Just look for an opportunity to break into the ground forces. Just kill the enemy who fires the shell attack. The other party naturally has no powerful firepower available. That will also help Kaido-sama. However, more than 10 seconds passed, half a minute passed, 2 minutes passed. He found that the other party's artillery fire did not stop at all. Bombard him like crazy. Wrong. AEEG. How is this possible? Artillery fire of this scale can actually bombard without any pause. Ember could feel the blast wave on his wings getting stronger and stronger. But he can still resist this kind of artillery bombardment. It's just this strange firepower of the other party. Beyond existing common sense. After they launch a round of attacks. Doesn't it need to be reloaded? Don't you need supplies? Can the barrel fire rate be so fast? Won't it blow up directly? How come these problems do not exist? The firepower is constant and getting stronger. Ember. Kaido, not far away, also suffered the same attack as Ember. Look at the embers covered in terrifying fire. Kaido frowned slightly. This attack is really powerful though. But to kill them, it is not enough. It's just that this kind of firepower is really weird. If it really keeps bombing. They have been passively fighting back. There will always be times when defense is not enough. And Kaido faced more intensive artillery fire. If really every hit, he's going to burst into thunder and 8 trigrams to defeat. Then 100 blows, 1,000 after 1,000. He may not even have seen the face of the enemy. After 3 minutes, Ember realized that he could no longer use a defensive posture. This has been bombarded indiscriminately. His haki is consuming too fast. Danbo Emperor. He suddenly spread his wings, and the firestorm he brought with him dispersed in all directions. The shells within tens of meters of himself were all detonated by him. Then he shot towards a mountain range like a heavenly knife. Numerous shells along the way, missiles launched from the mountains. But was blasted by the wings of the embers burning with flames. Explosions all the way. Ember realized that he was in the air. He will only be a living target. Gotta take out the enemy. Bang! Ember rushed to the ground, and when it landed, it was blessed with his terrifying speed. It directly exploded a layer of earth and rock waves. He fell into the allied crowd. There are still a lot of people, but they don't seem to be powerful, just rely on the waste of weapons. Ember cut out. With flames, a single knife directly shredded the bodies of hundreds of allied troops. Then the embers destroyed the tanks, and everywhere they passed, corpses were everywhere. Under the wielding of his sharp blade, no one is his one-hit enemy. He is like a god of death. Everywhere I passed, corpses were everywhere. Seeing this, Kaido withdrew his gaze. As long as Ember is under his cover. If you can enter Wano-kuni, then this firepower will soon be destroyed. It seems that the strongest firepower on the Allied side is this, but now that the tiger has entered the flock, I am afraid that the Allied forces will suffer. The lone shark looked at the embers that had broken into Wano-kuni on the screen. I couldn't help but speak. The Allied firepower is really good. If it is in a war between countries, I am afraid that no country will be their opponent, but unfortunately, they encountered the monster Kaido. I have said it all. A newly rising force can't see the strength of the top monsters, thinking that a little force can act recklessly. Sooner or later there will be a big loss, and it seems that a boring one-sided massacre will follow. Tezzolo said lightly. It's a pity if the allies fall. Don't look at the fact that these shells pose no threat to Kaido, but they are many times more powerful than the shells sold by any arms dealer underground now. I would like to buy some. The lone shark king said truthfully. That kind of flying iron bird is not bad. Air combat power has always been the rarest force on the sea, but it's a pity. After Kaido takes the allies, you can just buy it from Kaido. 2. It looks like someone is going to lose money. Silver Axe said happily. He said and gave Jabba a rather defiant look. Jabba was calm as water and unresponsive. Report, Ember has gone into pocket. Keep attacking. All kinds of soldiers are dispatched. Ren sent out self-detonators, magnetic storm troops, and even radiation troops, chrono troops. On the ground, but their world. No matter how strong Ember is, it is at most stronger than Quinn. The power to kill Quinn. You can kill him, and there are not tens of thousands of elites around him yet. So Ren wasn't focused on Ember. It's on the Kaido monster. Just now he greeted Kaido's firepower. 10 times more than Ember's. But it still can't do any damage to Kaido. His physical strength is like a bottomless pit. Even most of the shells have not yet hit him. It was torn apart by the fierce wind brought by a stick. Annoying attack. No matter who you are, it would be naive to really think that these gadgets can kill me. Surrender now. I can also consider giving you a good position. Gurgle. Kaido swept out a mace, swept out the stick and directly tore apart pieces of metal storm. Fighters dive and shoot, firing high explosive bullets, incomparably dense. But Kaido didn't dodge, still hit in his body by bullets. This is capable of shredding heavy machine gun bullets from ordinary steel. Hit his thick skin, clanging and splashing first-class sparks. The fighter crashed directly into Kaido. A fighter in a dive, even if it does not crash into Kaido, it is also destined to be smashed by Kaido. Pong! Kaido simply held out his palm and blocked the fighter that crashed into him. Then with a pinch, the entire fighter was instantly pinched and exploded. Even if it is loaded with explosives, it will not hurt Kaido. What a monster! Thundered. A sonic boom sounded, and there were dozens of air bombers, and there were thousands of them flying in. Mighty. Twitter. The sky full of bombshells pierced the atmosphere and fell. Bad wind. Kaido opened his mouth and spat out a dense wind of sickles to meet the cannonballs. Although he resisted this shell. But who is okay and likes to be bombed by shells? Boom boom boom. Countless bombshells exploded in the air. This wind sickle cut through the shells, and the residual momentum did not abate, slashing towards the sky group. Bang bang. Dozens of bombers did not have time to fly away and were directly detonated. Waste. Kaido Guy is such a waste, these are all air combat units. So desirable, the shipping king said bitterly. This battle, in their opinion, it seems that the end is set. Now it's just watching Kaido show off its might. The current Kaido should have adapted to the rhythm of bombers that are not threatening, so please eat a big one, open the nuclear bomb well, and nuclear explosion for emperors. Ren looked at Kaido on the tablet and said lightly. We have to test how much of a threat the bomb poses to Kaido. So that Ren deploys a follow-up battle plan. Kaido is dealing with a constant stream of fire. The firepower of the sky, although it could not cause fatal threat to him. But Kaido is not presumptuous. He was retrieving the places where the attacks were launched against him, waiting to see if there are any traps. Suddenly, from the plane, a group jumped in the air, paratroopers. Densely packed, thousands. It's like falling snowflakes. Quite spectacular. What is this for? Everyone is puzzled, and neither is Kaido. Rely on these weak soldiers and start an air battle with him. Isn't that looking for death? Is it useful if there are many quantities? Gurgle. Kaido directly transformed into a green dragon posture of hundreds of meters. He wants to make the enemy feel real despair. As soon as his dragon tail swung and snapped, at least 100 paratroopers were pumped to death by his dragon tail. But their bodies also exploded with a bang. Other paratroopers also landed on Kaido's green dragon-like ants. Kaido disagreed. All it took was a shock. They'll be like real ants. Easily crushed to death by him. Long live the allies. Everyone blew themselves up at the same time, and the terrifying explosion completely drowned Kaido. The giants of the underground world moved slightly. So many people blew themselves up at the same time, extremely powerful. The will to see death as home made them move slightly. If it's one or two, they'll scoff. But there are such loyal subordinates, there are such numbers. They were a little impressed. But this also creates an illusion for them. The allies seemed to have no stronger means. It can only be filled with human lives. After all, thousands of soldiers, where they are placed, the number is not small. A good soldier in conditioning, boy, come out and talk, billowing gunsmoke and flames. The green dragon rushed over with Shongyan. So many soldiers blew themselves up at the same time. It just made him a little angry and bloody. Nothing substantial harm was done. Kaido, however, was motivated by this. If only he could have cultivated so many loyal dead soldiers. In the future, on the sea, who will be his opponent? The people of Wano Kuni couldn't kill Kaido when they saw this. There was some despair, and the captured cadres on Ghost Island. Go to ignite hope. No one in this world can defeat Lord Kaido. Seeing this, Black Maria said confidently and firmly. But Ren remained calm. He silently opened a nuclear bomb silo placed near the coast. Kaido is huge. You can blow up Kaido anyway. It's a pity that each nuclear bomb in the Red Alert system is equivalent to a standard yield of 20,000 tons. If it is tens of millions of tons, the power can definitely erase Kaido, but such a ton is really used, I am afraid that not only Wano Kuni will disappear, but all nearby islands will also have to disappear. As for the power of 20,000 tons of equivalent, it is almost equivalent to the only power used in actual combat. The actual weight is 4.9 tons. But Ren can launch without limits. So in a sense, as long as Ren wants, he can also inflict millions of tons of destructive power and lethality. It's just that the power is not concentrated. Ren hesitated for a second or two, but pressed the button anyway. Kaido hasn't landed on the island yet. The weapon had little effect on Wano-kuni. And the Kaido defense is amazing. Don't do it now, you want to take Kaido. I don't know how much it will cost. Even once Kaido's recovery speed. Stronger than the consumption rate that Ren uses human lives to pile up. Ren can't guarantee that he'll win. So you have to use this kind of killer weapon. As for the lightning storm, Ren doesn't hold out much hope. Kaido itself can control lightning, wind, and fire, multiple elemental disasters. It definitely has extremely high immunity to lightning storms. Of course, that's for Ember. Certainly useful. As soon as the button is pressed, a piercing crisis warning sounds. Ren opted for shielding. This move again, is there no other move? Then wash your neck and prepare to accept your fate. Kaido sees the sky. Another 1,000 iron birds flew at great speed. But spread out, not very concentrated. Want to replicate the attack you just made? It's too much to underestimate him. Big weed. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido holds the mace in both hands, Conqueror's Haki winds, and lightning wraps around and roars. The whole sky was unleashed by Kaido so quickly as Conqueror's Haki. The atmosphere is faintly showing signs of being torn apart. Pink-purple Conqueror's Haki is domineering and ferocious. He waved his hands suddenly. Lightning in the sky moves with his mace in an instant. Conqueror's Haki is also roaring. Tong! A stick swept out of the air, and the whole atmosphere was shaken by him. The pillar is armed with lightning and Conqueror's Haki. Meet the bomber group in the air with the destructive power and speed of a Category 12 hurricane. Countless bombers, fighters, quickly pulled up. Dodge Kaido's devastating blow. But the explosions continued to sound. 10, 100, just one blow, more than 100 bombers were directly swept into dust and ashes by him. Seeing this, Ren was quite distressed. Even if he has thousands of fighters. But it can't withstand such a burn. But the time has come. This batch of bombers. It was a blow that lured Kaido to exert more force. After one blow, under normal circumstances, will subconsciously ease their breath and restore the consumed physical strength. But this is the time. Nuclear bomb silos open. Launch. Boom. The sonic boom is strong and fast. A long nuclear missile, with a raging tail flame, followed the bomber. Locked in the green dragon of Kaido. Shot at a speed faster than any shell missile just now. Take cover from bombers all over the sky. After Kaido's blow, he spat out heat again, and a terrifying line of fire shot through dozens of bombers. A tornado bad wind shattered a group of self-detonating paratroopers who fell from the sky. It's already been blown up once. Kaido naturally won't let them get any closer. Whoosh! Suddenly scattered missiles were fired at Kaido. When Kaido saw this amount, he didn't pay attention to it at all. This amount, he is fine if he does not block it. It's better to destroy these iron birds that can constantly harass him in the air. And in this scattered missile, there is a relatively huge shot. Kaido was preparing to continue to shoot down the iron birds. But observation Haki suddenly came with a warning of a crisis. His face changed, his gaze shifted from above, and instantly shifted back to the front. But nuclear missiles are extremely fast. Shoot in front of Kaido in an instant. Kaido's dragon pupils suddenly shrank. Nuclear missiles. Contact. Explode. Rumble. A loud bang like a heavenly collapse sounded. The people of Wano-kuni have not yet heard the voice. I saw a dazzling, terrifying ball of fire in the distance booming in the air. In an instant, the entire sea area, the entire national magnetic field, and energy were seriously disturbed. The whole world seemed to fall silent. Only a hot ball of fire tore through all kinds of energy in the atmosphere. Produced a variety of flame colors, more dazzling than the sun. All bombers, paratroopers, missiles nearby. As soon as it came into contact with this huge flame of light, it was instantly annihilated. Everyone subconsciously closed their eyes. They saw that fireball instantly expand countless times. It's like the whole world has become a world of light flames. Blinding to the point of blindness. The moment the nuclear bomb exploded, a huge amount of energy was released, and the central temperature instantly climbed, distorting the atmosphere. Then a terrifying shockwave that can wipe everything out was released, accompanied by light radiation that is fatal to any living thing. All the energy is released in an instant. A mushroom cloud soars into the sky and soars into the sky. This fireball mushroom cloud is thousands of meters high. And it's expanding and growing faster. Clouds of mushrooms shredded the clouds. Light, flame, magnetic field, and lightning are all chaotic. Surround yourself with a mushroom cloud and show yourself a devastating scene. Even if this nuclear bomb exploded in midair, the sea below still set off terrifying waves, like a tsunami roaring and spreading out in all directions. Destruction coverage, no shock waves, only light flames, high temperatures, radiation. The diameter is more than 10 kilometers. That fiery fireball mushroom cloud lasts for a long time, like a majestic mountain. Such a large-scale explosion blinded all the strong people for a while. What happened? Kaido seems to have been hit by some shell. Tezzolo, Akoku, and the lone shark looked at the screen and suddenly filled with a blazing white light. They were stunned, and waited until the dazzling light passed. When you see the mushroom cloud that symbolizes destruction, everyone's faces changed dramatically. This tamad was caused by the shell just now. What shell can have such terrifying power? Even if they are all heroes with heads and faces in the world. Some of the strength is even the best. But at this moment, he was also stunned. The pupils trembled constantly. It shows their inner peace at the moment. They have never seen such powerful shells. No, they even wondered, can this tamad still be called a shell? Vosh, what is this? The cigar in the usury king's mouth fell to the ground. He didn't know it, just wide-eyed and looking at the picture with an incredulous face. Just now has been live broadcasting, and the chattering Morgans also froze. If not far enough, if it weren't for his ability to teleport over short distances, if he were involved in a big explosion of this level, it is estimated that not even a feather will remain. Kaido, the ant's face sank, and Huoran got up, full of uneasiness. No one can answer the words of the lone shark king. They don't know what this thing is either. But it's scary. Many people put themselves in their shoes. If it was they who were bombed, will it survive? Up in the air, that's their answer. Could it be the attack of the legendary ancient weapon? The Sea King can only think of this weapon that has always existed only in legends. This kind of power is really enough to wipe out an island in one shot. Again, no one can answer this question. The Allies have such a terrifying weapon. Kaido, that guy isn't going to die. Kaido is also too careless, is observation hockey so bad that he can't detect danger. Silver Axe frowned. Losing money is a trifle. If Kaido died, then the Allies would be terrible. In the future, the overlord of New World may have to be changed. You won't die so easily, Kaido. Auntie stared at the screen. There, the signal started to become unstable. The screen flickered. Morgans, is Kaido still alive? The lone shark hurriedly asked. Wait, I'll step back a little further. Medea almost killed me first. Morgans said wistfully. I didn't expect to eat melons to watch the excitement. Almost took my own life. After the distance is widened, the disturbed magnetic field is not so strong. The picture gradually stabilizes, and the people of Wano-kuni look at the mushroom cloud that has not dissipated. Struck dumb. Can't say a word. Black Maria and other cadres are also all petrified. They did not expect that the Allied forces would still have such earth-destroying means of attack. Yamato stared blankly into the distance. You don't have to look at the screen to see the mushroom cloud clearly. Cyrus was even more shocking. It turns out that Lord Ren still has this weapon. Everyone looked nervously at the screen and at the sky. They all desperately wanted to know if Kaido was still alive. Big Brother Kaido. Embers plunged into an endless sea of people. It's hard to vacate now. On the ground, countless laser beams kept hitting him. A self-detonating soldier approached him and blew himself up. Fire from all sides. Like waves of tsunamis, the sky is covered up. The mountains were pierced, the peaks were razed to the ground. The forest was burned to scorched earth. Corpses piled up at his feet. Abandoned tanks, everywhere, but at this time, what he was most worried about was not himself. It's Kaido. That explosion made his heart palpitate. The power is too terrifying. Roar. Suddenly, an angry dragon roar was heard from the mushroom cloud. Then they saw a bloody green dragon tearing apart part of the mushroom cloud. Swam out of that terrible storm of destructive energy. Then transform into the strongest dragon man form. This explosion also blew up Kaido, even fried with caution. In fact, when that terrible shell was about to hit him, his observation haki was captured. But the green dragon posture is too large. He couldn't dodge or transform into human form in an instant. Only time to set up haki defense. But even so, he was still broken. At this moment, the body was torn in many places, the scars were obvious, and blood flowed. A strange energy even continued to penetrate into his body. All flesh and blood that touches this energy, all gradually lose their activity, as if they are going to necrosis and decay. This is radiation. Kaido has lingering feelings. It's better than when Odin beheaded him. And make him afraid. Now you can only resist with haki temporarily. But he found that he could not completely prevent it. In addition, the terrifying heat of Fang Kai almost melted him. If he is not good at flames, he has extremely high resistance to flames. His injuries were even more serious. But if it was the strongest dragon man posture just now, Kaido felt that moment observation haki captured. Even if you can't completely dodge, he can at least pull back a little longer. Don't get hurt by this. Poof. Kaido put away his contempt and spat out a mouthful of blood. Carrying a mace, your eyes are like a torch looking in the direction of Wano Kuni. Look at the sky again. He suddenly realized, there is no cover in the sky. It will be easier to be a target yourself. This can't kill that guy Kaido. Some giants feel quite disappointed. The ability of the phantom beast species is strong. This devil fruit should have been mine in the first place. Akoku stared at his aunt unkindly. I rob you, you can't hold it, it's mine. The aunt said nonchalantly. Quote. Okoku wanted to scold, but met the murderous eyes of the aunt. He endured it anyway. I underestimated you guys just now. Let's move on to the second round. Kaido maintains a dragon man posture. He wants to kill Wano Kuni with the strongest posture. Take back his country. You're really faithful. But at this moment, over Wano Kuni, a Kira airboat slowly drove towards this side. As soon as Ren appeared, it made many giants frown. This guy dares to appear directly. Didn't he know that Kaido never went on a rampage into Wano Kuni because he didn't determine the position of the leader and didn't want to startle the snake? He doesn't think Kaido is hurt and he'll be able to come out and pick up the bargain. You're finally out, how? Can't help but want to show off your record. Kaido laughed. No, I just don't want you to escape, give you a goal that doesn't escape, the entire allied forces, and there is no more suitable target than me. Ren spread his hands. Listening to Ren's words, countless strong people were stunned. Many powerful people look at Ren like strange people. He appeared to fear Kaido escaping. How rampant this is. How arrogant. This one looks like Kaido is completely stunned. Let everyone not think a little more. Apparently someone who can rule an organization. It is possible to be arrogant. But he can't be a fool. Could it be that what else can he do to win Kaido's whole card? But in this world, no strong man has ever dared to say that he will definitely win the 4 emperors. Not to mention, he was also worried that 4 emperors would escape. You're crazier than I thought. I don't hate bigots, though, but before I do that, there's one thing I have to make sure. What happened to Quinn? Kaido didn't do it in an instant. One is that Ren stopped over Wano Kuni. I didn't keep leaning towards him. The second is to keep a certain distance. Anyway, the Kira airboat is huge. The goal is clear. On the contrary, there is no hurry to find the target to kill. Most of them were killed, and the rest are now my hostages. Ren told the truth. Hear Ren say that for yourself. Kaido almost spewed out a mouthful of old blood. He has been running a team for decades. That's how it was scrapped. He alone cannot dominate this sea in any way. Even once it becomes estimated to be alone. Don't talk about dominating the sea. That's the 4 emperors. Immediately, an old monster will strike and pull him off the horse. After all, when alone, no matter how strong it is, there is only a limited amount of territory that can be defended. And it will give the illusion that it can be targeted by research. The fault tolerance rate is too low, one step at a time. It could be an abyss. Individuals are too easy to be calculated and wielded by the strong. If only to live chic. And not to turn the world into the violent world of his dreams. He needed to lay down Wano Kuni to develop various military industries. as well as recruiting the strong on the sea. 220 can be decades of hard work. Now it's a success. He was furious. We have a feud, Kaido asked. Really do it to yourself. Then do it, cross yourself, steal this kind of behavior. What good is it for him, except to provoke himself? It's even less good for yourself. His legion, probably, was scrapped. Little devil. Nope. To sit on the throne of the 4 emperors. Not interested. Then what are you killing Lao Tzu's troops? Lao Tzu is still alive. Kaido growled. He wanted to point to Ren's nose and tell him. Pirates also need to follow the rules. But such a humiliating word, Kaido can't speak. Rules, used to restrict pirates. It would have been ridiculous. Those who do not want to comply do not comply. It's just that ordinary people will be jealous of him. So that he will not cross him and do something to his subordinates. And this man in front of him is not afraid of him. Even in the case of Conqueror's haki overflowing at the moment. His expression was not the slightest bit flustered. Ren is not a real pirate per se. He had hardly sailed on the sea. He only knows that in order to win, he must cut off the enemy's power step by step. It seems that I can't keep you. I'll personally smash your head. Kaido lost his desire to recruit Ren. His anger did not allow him to do so. And there is little point in doing so. His subordinates were all killed or controlled by the enemy. Think about developing this force again. I don't know how long. In a sense, Ren shattered a corner of Kaido's dream. I'll wait. Don't think that weapon can still hit me. Take out any means, I will make you taste real despair. Kaido was murderous and roared. The pinkish-purple Conqueror's haki swept out like a tidal wave. With substantial destructive and lethal power. Many of the bombers that flew towards Kaido again were knocked to the ground. With Kaido's anger, the sky changed dramatically. The mushroom cloud has not yet dispersed. Dark clouds and thunderstorms surged under Kaido's anger and abilities. Covers the entire sea and Wano-kuni. Seeing this, Ren waved his hand. In this sea area, thousands of warships instantly emerged. But not very dense. Instead, it spreads out. There are really so many top-level advanced warships, which do not use the mast as power. That muzzle is very thick, and the power will not be small. It's all good stuff. The amount looks pretty scary. The giants watched the sea at Kaido's feet appear out of thin air, so many warships. They were all shocked. Numerous anti-aircraft missiles and anti-aircraft guns were aimed at Kaido. In the next second, the tongue of fire sprayed, and in an instant, it was like a golden meteor shower flowing backwards. Shoot high from the sea. Fire dragon torch. Kaido's body burst into flames, enveloping him. Countless shells were close to him. Directly melted. But some shells have an unusually strong steel casing. Made of special steel. For example, armor-piercing shells. These were swept away by Kaido. Since Ren dares to appear. Kaido dares to target his head. But Kaido's eyes flashed sly. He descended from the sky on a nearby warship. This was followed by a blow sweeping away all the allied soldiers of the warship. Another stick smashed the warship. Just smashed a warship. He leapt high and jumped onto the next warship. This time wrapped in a kick from Conqueror's haki. Smashed the steel warship. Fierce and powerful. Thrill any strong person. Everyone could see that Kaido was really angry. But it's also easy to understand. Change to them, if it is the family base accumulated over the years. Scrapped by someone's sneak attack. They are expected to be even crazier. Heat. Bad wind. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido smashed warship after warship. Blast fighter after fighter. This time he was more cautious. No more effort is spared. Don't let any missiles come close to him at all. Even if it takes a little more effort. He didn't want to endure that kind of bombardment again. Even if you don't necessarily die. But it hurts. And that weird energy is still corroding his body. Although not very serious. But it feels bad. The stream of heat burned through hundreds, or thousands, of paratroopers. But even so, Ren paratroopers did not stop either. Not only did it not stop. And it has increased. Kaido is like a god of destruction at the moment. 100 meters per direction towards Ren. Warships, warplanes, and thousands of soldiers fell under his devastating attacks. A person has the 4 elemental powers of wind, fire and thundercloud. It is definitely a walking humanoid natural disaster, the demon king of extermination. Watch Kaido kill in all directions. Many giants were silent. Kaido seems to be more powerful than they thought. There are some old monsters, except for this nearby sea. Basically do not set foot in other seas. They Ishin just wanted to find Raftel. Some of the battles with Kaido were 10 years ago. Even 20 or 30 years ago. The impression of his strength also stayed at that time. Now let's look at the strength of Kaido. No one can relax. Except for four emperors, who still looked relaxed. The others are watching carefully, gathering intelligence. After all, such opportunities are not always available. It seems that the allies no longer use the terrible shells they just had. The shipping king suddenly said. That kind of shell can't be fired casually, otherwise it would be too pervert. The loan shark speculated. It's not necessarily, maybe the other party can still issue such an attack, but Kaido's speed is faster than just now, and the size is smaller, and if you are on guard, you may not be able to be hit. Tezzolo, who has a good strength, analyzed. Report, Kaido's defenses have been strengthened, and most of the shells and missiles have been shattered before they get close, but correspondingly, we have detected that Kaido's physical exertion should be twice as high as before. An engineer at the experimental center takes a closer look at Kaido. Report updates to Ren. In addition, his speed has increased by about 3 times, and with the speed of the nuclear missile just now, even if he can hit, he probably will not be in the center of the bombing. It doesn't matter, what he wants is that he is always on guard. Sometimes he doesn't use it, and it can cause psychological pressure to the other party more than to use it. Continue to intensify the fire attack. It is not difficult for a nuclear bomb to hit an average target. But if it's a monster like Kaido, one shot is not enough to guarantee the lore. Ren had to wait for a better time. And superweapons have a cooldown. After each nuclear bomb silo is used, there is a certain cooldown period. The same silo takes 10 minutes to use. So these 100 nuclear bombs, Ren has to plan for their use. If launched at the same time, it doesn't ensure that Kaido is killed. 10 minutes of non-nuclear cooling. There are bound to be more variables. For a strong person like Kaido, don't say 10 minutes, 1 minute may turn the tide of battle. Plan your time. Recycling ensures that nuclear missiles are available at all times. Is the wisest, and not a stud, unless there is absolute certainty that it can kill Kaido. That stud is no problem. In the absence of danger, it is best to be able to use warships, troops, and cannons like this. What are the losses in the current operation against Kaido? Ren asked the senior commander who was operating the Kiriv airboat next to him. All the data is being collected. The loss of 110,000 soldiers of various types, fighters of various types, and 38 warships. 4 emperors lived up to his name, and after only a short battle, he lost a lot, and I am afraid that he has not yet felt tired. Ren frowned. The fighters are because they are basically air combat just now. So the losses are huge. The total number of fighters is currently just over 4,000. More than 400, which is already a tenth. The battle loss ratio is not small. Soldiers and warships are not the main attack. Not much to lose, but now both warships and soldiers are gradually increasing. Become the main attacking force. Losses are also increasing dramatically. What kind of soldier is this? Kaido smashed a soldier with a green liquid with a stick. After crushing, he found that the enemy soldiers around him had melted. He immediately became vigilant, opening his mouth to highlight a tornado wind. Chop the entire warship to pieces 0. I also pulled away. But as long as there is something wrong, Kaido does not risk a stay. He watched the sky and the sea grow more and more enemies. He roared in disbelief, I'd rather see how many people you can let me kill. It is not easy to train any soldier. Many of the kingdom's soldiers have not killed as much as he just did. Change to an ordinary country. His attack just now was enough to destroy the entire kingdom's army. Therefore, he firmly believed that the strength of the allied forces could not be exaggerated. At most, there is another 500,000 or 600,000, even if it is the top of the sky. It would take at least 100,000 people to control those warships. That is, he may have ambushed about 4.5 million on the shore. Such a number of troops. In fact, it has surprised Kaido. Although the strength is very average. But the amount is staggering. You must know that his previous beasts pirates were only tens of thousands of elites. Count the various pirate groups that surrendered to him on the periphery. All weak forces are counted. At most, there are only 230,000 people. The Allied forces now have a preliminary estimate of 600,000 or 700,000. It's already pretty good. And Ember is under his cover. Just now one step into the island. Now it is estimated that a lot of people have been killed. The breath of Embers is still there. So there should be no top powerhouse who can win the Ember. Marine headquarters and world government should not be involved. If only that, except for the kind of bomb just now. There is nothing to make him jealous. Wait for yourself to break through and enter the island. Does he dare to put that kind of bomb? Not afraid to wipe out all of yourself. Kaido's purpose is obvious. Resist the fire, kill Wano-kuni and take out this little devil who doesn't know whether to live or die. He debuted Kaido for many years. Except that he was almost killed by Roger Garp before. I have never suffered such a big loss. This kind of soldier can also affect my control of lightning, although it is weak, but it is really strange. Kaido hammered to death a group of magnetic storm infantry with coils wrapped around their arms. The closer you get to the coastline of Wano-kuni, Kaido became more and more wary. Is that powerful shell gone? Close to the coastline, there are more warships. The denser the shells are fired. The firepower is extremely strong, and some are still biased towards speed. When it arrives in front of it, it explodes directly. But don't take a step back from him. When did Wano-kuni have such a building? Kaido looks out over the coastline. There are densely packed tower-like buildings. Then I saw the buildings glowing. Whoosh! Thousands of laser beams struck over. Extremely fast, Kaido is also vaguely aware of a sense of crisis. So many lasers. Was it invented according to Kizaru's abilities? But Kaido is not afraid. Lao Su is Kaido of the beasts. He jumped high, holding wolf and sheep sticks in both hands, like an orc pounced. Directly greeted it. Descend 3. Inaraku. Haki wrapped around Raiden and wrapped in a mace, a move stronger than thundering 8 trigrams. The whole atmosphere was detonated. Rumble. The laser beam in the sky was directly blasted by him. Twitter. But he just knocked out this batch of lasers. But there are dozens of laser beams that have been enhanced by layer. Kaido did not retreat. I knew that you little devil likes to play the trick of reflecting reality and fiction the most, it is too tender. Poof. Kaido was fierce and rushed towards the enhanced beam. Not even physically covered with armament Haki. Because of his jump, the target was Ren. Even if it is hit by a laser beam, he's going to kill Ren by surprise, too. Hit the mace with power. Poof. The fastest arrival of the enhanced beam hits Kaido, who has no deliberate defense. The first round has not been able to shoot through. After continuous bursts, Kaido's own monster physique was pierced. Not quite worn yet, about a few centimeters deep into the body. Blood splattered, but it was quickly dried by the heat. Kaido felt the pain, but laughed maniacally. Because he condensed all his strength. This jump is to directly kill Ren. Replace this little devil's life with injuries. It's not a loss. This young man's cleverness was taken advantage of by Kaido. Miserable, Jabba said suddenly. This blow, even if it is me, I may not be able to block it. Aku said with a solemn expression. This kid doesn't seem to have much strength, even if he has strength. In the face of Kaido's move, I am afraid that he will definitely die. Tezzolo said. They have an extremely vicious vision. Even across the screen. It can also be judged. In terms of positive strength, Ren is by no means a match for Kaido. Really, solving a little ghost not only took so much time, but also got hurt. Ant said with a smile. Jun Chali, Long Shungjin. Kaido wields his mace and arrives in front of Ren in an instant. At the same time, roaring, the roar shattered the clouds. Conqueror's Haki gushed out, and all the guards around Ren froze for a moment. Cyrus was no exception. This Haki is terrible. What a coincidence. I'm waiting for you. Activate the super weapon, the Iron Curtain device. Ren smiled slightly. Received. The Iron Curtain device has entered into force. How come? Kazuki Hiyori's breathing stopped at this moment. It's not just her. All those who are eager for Ren to win at the moment. They all subconsciously held their breath. Everyone stared at the screen. Watch as Kaido swings a stick at Ren's head. Mixed with the energy of a mountain roaring tsunami. Pink and purple Haki, black lightning, surging power. All the forces converge into this mortal blow. People who know observation hockey. You can sense that Ren is not weak. But it's still not comparable to the energy of 4 Emperors Kaido. The sun and the heart are like knives. The despair intensified. Kaido is simply an unbeatable demon king. Raise your hands and feet as if you want to destroy the world. Those who are not strong-willed. Just watching the live broadcast, my heart has been dominated by fear at the moment. Look at the mace knocked down from above. The terrifying power makes many people feel. The person under the mace at the moment is himself. Thereupon, poof, pop, many people were directly frightened and fainted. It was as if he had been attacked with a mace. One can imagine how oppressive Kaido's terrifying strength has brought them. Hiwa pursed her red lips. The slender tender hand was red with a clenched fist due to nervousness. They finally saw that Kaido could be brought down. Hope burned in my heart. But now this is a hope. With Kaido, the stick is about to go to ashes. If you can. She was even willing to take her own life. Go and exchange the life of this leader who has not even spoken. Because she felt, even if Wano Kuni is dominated by this man, how about it will be better than the devil of Kaido? There is such a thought. She wasn't alone. Many people of Wano Kuni are willing to gamble. They've had enough of the beast's pirates' rule. Be willing to struggle no matter what. But they don't have that opportunity. Hyungoro, Kawamatsu, Asuna Boy and others were also just full of surprise. The expression froze on the face. Look at the moment when hope is shattered. The giants of the underground world. They had different expressions, some regretful, some sneering. 4 Emperors is not simply reckless. If only it were a simple reckless man. It has long been calculated to die. Oh, but Ren is tempting Kaido. Kaido is also figuring out Ren attack habits. In the end, Kaido caught the flaw. And monsters like 4 Emperors caught flawed. Sometimes one blow is enough to determine the winner. That's the end of it, but this time it also earns the attention of those monsters. Morgan's filmed in the distance. I have to say that he is really professional. Because he can fly, the equipment is also world-class. The angles captured are very good. At this moment, he even zoomed in on the captured picture. But that's how it zooms in. Morgans immediately saw something different. The young man named Ren had a calm look on his face at the moment. There was no shock or panic at the surprise of being raided. Some kind of unrealistic idea just popped up at Morgan's. Then a terrifying tremor was heard. Pound. Kaido knocked a stick at Ren. Like knocking on a piece of meteorite. The imaginary flesh and blood did not appear. An invisible barrier blocks a powerful blow to the mace. The anti-seismic force is enormous. Even if Kaido is a phantom beast. A legendary thing that is almost immortal. At this moment, both hands were also buzzing. The tiger's mouth is directly cracked and bleeding. Super weapon, the Iron Curtain device. With this device, you can be invincible and cannot be destroyed by any force for nearly a minute. It is the key device to reverse the victory and defeat of many wars. 5 minutes cooldown. Kaido's power is powerful. But it is still impossible to destroy this invincible state. This state is called absolutely invincible defense, which is not an exaggeration. This is also the fact that Ren was clearly held hostage by Gion before. But there is no reason to panic at all. Although there is a cooldown time. But as long as the soul ore continues, build another one on the spot, and he will be able to continue the invincible defense state again. Don't look at the lack of destructive power of this superweapon. But this locked blood state. Many times, you can fight for your life on the other side. Reverse the victory and defeat, and the effect is huge. Kaido's eyes suddenly froze. His physical fitness is monster level. The vitality is even stronger than pervert. Fang Kai pinched the bomber with his bare hands, and his palm was fine. Now it is blocked by an energy shield, and the anti-shock force transmitted back. Directly shocked. But it doesn't matter. What makes Kaido incomprehensible? A thin shield. At the moment wrapped the entire Kira airship. He struck with all his might, but he couldn't break through. Not even a crack. How is this possible? It wasn't that he hadn't thought that Ren might have a defense. But just because I thought about it. He only disregarded his physical defenses. Pour all your power into the mace. Concentrate a little. Just one hit kills, even if he has defensive things or abilities. This blow, he will also be completely smashed. But I never expected. This blow was easily prevented. How come? Lie to you. Kaido's all-out blow was blocked. Akoku, Silver Axe, these giants who know Kaido's strength. At the moment, everyone's faces are quite exciting. It's like seeing a ghost in the middle of the day. Just now, Kaido grasped the opportunity, the power of condensation. In their opinion, it's perfect. They all think that this blow must work. It's time to tell the winner. Unexpectedly, Kaido lost. What is that shield? Capable people, Lone Shark Akoku cried out. No, even those with abilities can't withstand Conqueror's Haki's winding blows. Even this kind of defense can withstand it, and there are really many surprises brought by this allied army. That guy in Kaido wouldn't really be in the hands of a young man. If it was a few minutes ago, someone said so. Most of them will be made fun of by most giants. But now no one can laugh. What happens in the next second? It made them can't help but exclaim, completely out of shape. When Kaido fails to knock Ren to death. When you're ready to strike again. A silver-white light flashed around him. A whole team of Chrono soldiers appeared out of thin air. Holding the cannon barrel in his hand, he shot out a silver-white light. Shrouded Kaido. Obviously, this group of Chronoman soldiers has been waiting for Kaido for a long time. A shroud of light shrouds Kaido. Kaido is the gap after a full blow. Even if he owns the Phantom Beast Devil Fruit, resilience is the best in the world. In this instant, it still takes time to recover. The Chrono Air Force took advantage of this moment to attack. Kaido was instantly in a quagmire. For a while, I couldn't move. What is it? Kaido Conqueror's haki kept gushing and hissing. He had a feeling he had never felt before. It was as if his body was gradually being decomposed by a mysterious force. All defenses seemed to be non-existent. The feeling terrified him. In fact, things related to the concept of chronospace and mind controllers. All are one of the superweapons. It's just these two forces. The role of manifestation is not destruction. Instead, it is biased towards the multifunctional aspect. So it has not been divided by Ren into a nuclear bomb well and a weather controller. But that doesn't mean they're not powerful. Roar! Kaido didn't dare to be enveloped by this light any longer. He bursts out with all his power. Haki overflowed wildly, his body rapidly expanding. To burst this mask directly. The energy unleashed by Kaido is truly terrifying. To a very small extent, it did affect the stability of the chrono weapon. Cracks gradually emerge in the reticle. But Kaido's body is also a little cracked due to the huge amount of energy released by overload. Blood ran down the wound. You know what? The most flexible point of human use of tools is not how powerful a single tool is, but in a specific environment, the result of using it together is much greater than 1 + 1. Ren fell. There is a rumble in the sky. This roar of overspeed. Kaido is familiar with that terrible bomb. He looked up. Found in all directions, at least a dozen such bombs flew by. Seeing this, Kaido's face changed dramatically. So many rounds, if you are hit. The probability is to die. He struggled frantically. Hope to escape this mask range as quickly as possible. My God, that terrible bomb, there are so many of them. The Yuzuri King's face changed dramatically. Others did not have time to speak. More than a dozen nuclear missiles, accurate and unmistakable, landed at the same time where Kaido and Ren were. Only one with horror on his face. A face as flat as ever. The expressions of the two were imprinted in everyone's minds at this moment. And unforgettable. Rumble. Although there are more than a dozen nuclear missiles. But it exploded at the same time. Only one ring. But the mushroom cloud that exploded was dozens of times larger than the one just now. In an instant, the billowing mushroom light fireworks and fireballs rushed straight into the air at a height of 10,000 meters. The surrounding atmosphere exploded, like a mirror shattering. Lightning in the sky was released chaotically around the mushroom cloud. Climate, magnetic fields, gravity, radio waves. These moments are chaotic. When the shockwave that represents the circle of destruction ripples. Atmospheric shredding expands further. The tsunami spread out in all directions. Warships weighing 10,000 tons were also overturned. Wano Kuni is close to the forest on the shore, and the peaks are leveled. Nearby soldiers, bombers will also fly to annihilation. They exist, just like Ren itself. It's all bait. Otherwise, How could Kaido rush over without suspicion? The earth collapsed, and the plates clashed and smashed. This scene is stronger than the 12-level earthquake. It's even more frightening. At the same time, all phone bugs and satellite signals were jammed. Lose all your footage in an instant. But people's minds have carved the doomsday power just now into their bones. Such a ruthless little fellow. Many warships and soldiers were buried with them. Even a tyrant like Tezzolo. At this moment, I couldn't help but sigh. This explosion did not hesitate to let so many of his own people be buried with him. This young man is not easy to provoke. Definitely a ruthless person. The communication is broken. What is going on with Kaido? Still alive. Maid, whether the guy from Morgan's is reliable or not, how come there is no signal at the critical moment? It tickled me. The loan shark was impatient. Now they can't wait to know the results. Not to mention the signal, that horrible big explosion, the Morgan's guy doesn't know if he can live. Won't it? The loan shark partner immediately became nervous. Morgan's this guy is going to die because of watching the excitement. Was the scene so dangerous? If Kaido dies, the new world landscape will change dramatically. Silver Axe's eyes sparkle with ambition. Did you remember Kaido's territory so soon? Akoku smiled slightly. You didn't think about it. Silver Axe shot back. The air around the ant suddenly froze. The terrifying conqueror's haki was brewing around her. 220 Prometheus also burned even more. Zeus hid behind his mother's back, shivering. It can clearly feel that the mother's spirit has become extremely unstable. I would say that no one could have survived that Big Bang, not even Kaido. The ghost mother-in-law smiled. Some people die, some mourn, and naturally some people laugh. Do you want to go to the scene and have a look? Jabba suddenly suggested. How is it possible? Wano-kuni is far away, the loan shark was halfway through. In normal times, this would be impossible. But now there is one here that started by sea. The guy with the ability to jump, the fruit is here. Don't look at me. If I were involved in such a war, there would definitely be no bones left. 33 Umid, the king of shipping, said in a cold sweat. Don't you want to know if Kaido lives or dies? As far as I know, Kaido's arms transportation business, but you have always been in charge, you have such a big business deal, don't want to know the result early, make plans early. Jabba said with a smile. The shipping king hesitated. If something happens to Kaido, their chain of interests is bound to change. Don't worry, we're just going to see, don't participate in any struggle, the guy who rides this ride will ensure your safety, you say. Silver Axe patted Umed on the shoulder seductively. That's right. Quote, Silver Axe, you guy is less here, your reputation is not so good, such a distance, if I have the ability to activate, I will have to collapse by Wano-kuni, and then it will not still be slaughtered by you. Umid was still hesitating. Don't look at how these guys are talking nicely now. It's really a black hand. Not a single ambiguous. Slowly, the Morgan's guy is not dead yet, the signal seems to have recovered a little, but it is not very clear to see, the airboat has come out of the explosion, and the young man is fine. Nonsense. No matter how crazy he is, it is impossible to blow himself up, it must be because of that shield. Over Wano-kuni, the mushroom cloud is still expanding. Fortunately, more than 20 nuclear bombs have not been used at a time, otherwise the entire Wano-kuni will be affected. A concentrated strike, the power of more than a dozen nuclear bombs is already extremely terrifying. The surrounding positions of Kaido are also crowded. No matter how many nuclear bombs, although the power has increased, it cannot reach a qualitative change, unless Kaido transforms into a dragon form and increases the strike area. Un said with lingering. The power of the nuclear bomb was even more astonishing than he thought. Especially a dozen rounds exploded together. He was really afraid that Wano-kuni would not be able to carry it and be completely annihilated. Where does the soul ore go to collect and scrape? Now, are you still alive? Ren muttered to herself as she looked at the mushroom cloud that was constantly reacting with various energies. Lord Ren, just now the experimental center found a big surprise. A lab engineer suddenly walked up to Ren with excitement on his face and reported. Kaido thought he was dead. The power of that shell. Just one shot, even if he resisted with all his might. Also hit hard. Now more than a dozen rounds are coming together. If only it were precisely concentrated. Again in the center of the explosion. Absolutely unbearable. But was he blown up like that? No, never. Kaido hissed angrily. All the potential was unleashed to ultimate in that instant. He had never had such a strong desire. She squeezes every drop of power out of the cells. It doesn't matter if it will be greatly reduced in life expectancy in the future. Agitate your own internal organs and cells, active to ultimate. The whole body turns red as a result. Finally, a second before those shells arrived, he broke free from the shackles of the Chrono army. Move some distance as fast as you can in your life. Escaped from the very heart of the explosion. But the explosion caused by a dozen nuclear bombs is still too terrifying. Kaido only felt the severe pain hit. Confusion for a moment. The horrific heat is still climbing. Terrifying various energies shattered his hockey defenses. Tear open the phantom beast species and monster body that he is proud of. His body, even if it fell from a height of 10,000 meters. If you can hit the ground like a meteorite, you won't necessarily be hurt. Can be in front of such shells. For the first time, Kaido felt powerless and fearful. But he knew he wanted to live. We must not allow this terrifying mushroom cloud to continue to erode ourselves. That's really the end. So no matter how hard it is, you must escape. Escape from the range affected by this mushroom cloud. When Renkira's airboat was blessed by the Iron Curtain device. When calm and leisurely out of the mushroom cloud. Kaido also moved out from the other direction. Big brother Kaido. But seeing the embers of this moment, his eyes were full of tears. Kaido is covered in rags, and his skin is mostly greenish. The super radiation has penetrated into his body. A small half of the left shoulder, along with the entire arm, has been annihilated. There was no blood flowing from the wound. Only scars that have been baked at high temperatures. Hideous and miserable. There is hardly a single intact place on the body. The proud monster body of yesteryear. Kaido, known as the strongest creature. At this time, many places were burned by explosions, and even part of the flesh and blood were melted. There is a large hole in the abdomen that has been pierced by the shock wave. That is, his life force, defense power, is more powerful than Whitebeard. Whitebeard is strong in destructive power. Otherwise such an injury, even if it jumps out, it won't take a few seconds. It will also kill violently. Ahem, cough. Kaido opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of black blood. The internal organs have been hit hard. Rags. His life is like a candle in the wind. Then it will all go out. If you can. At this moment, Ember even hoped that the eldest brother would escape from the demon cave of Wano-kuni first. The enemy's means and weapons are too mysterious. They have too little intelligence. But the aftermath just now wiped out countless soldiers. But the light flashed, and it was hundreds of thousands. Even millions of soldiers surrounded them. It's as if they are endless. Ember gradually felt desperate. In this case, do they really have a chance to escape? Kaido's body landed on the island, stumbling and almost falling. He couldn't stand steady, but at this time, he is the most resistant to beating of all the 4 emperors. Terrible physical resilience. When he took a breath and came over. Gradually, it regained a little effect. At least slowly, his consciousness returned. You can see the scene in front of you again. It's okay if you don't see it clearly. When you see it, it's Kaido. A sense of powerlessness also arises. I saw this area that had just been flattened into wasteland. One after another phalanx of 10,000 people appeared. 20, 50, 100, 200. Millions of troops surrounded him. Similarly, countless military buildings have sprung up one after another. Countless steel cannons were aimed at him. At this moment, he was like a sheep falling into a flock of tigers. The number of Kaido is not clear. I can't perceive how many troops there are. Just know, where the eye can see. It's all a mountain of people, it's a sea of people. Shocking, extremely terrifying, this perverse multi-million troops. It gives Kaido a sense of absurd unreality. Earlier he guessed that the enemy could have 600,000 or 700,000 troops. It's already the top of the sky. I didn't expect it. In that kind of explosion, at least hundreds of thousands of people were scrapped. There are millions of troops. How untrue this is. Is this still Kaido? Morgans looked at Kaido's miserable situation and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. The hands holding the live phone bugs were shaking. If not seen with your own eyes. He couldn't believe that the Emperor of the Sea with infinite scenery in the past. It ended up like this. He was once called an immortal monster by the world. Such injuries, even if they are on other 4 emperors. I'm afraid I'm too dead to die anymore. That is, Kaido is famous for its defensive power, vitality. To carry it down. But even so, just one more shell of that kind just now. Even Kaido has no way to live. But just now Morgan's clairvoyance captured. In that instant, Kaido unleashes potential that seems to be beyond its limits. Traverse the most central explosion area. How is this possible? Kaido, this guy is still alive. The ghost mother-in-law said with some disbelief. That kind of explosion, if it were herself, she will surely die. But Kaido survived. At this moment, many giants were silent. Kaido guy deserves to be one of the strongest monsters on the sea. This kind of vitality, defensive power, they are ashamed of themselves. But this is what it looks like now. What's the difference between being sentenced to death? That kind of shell, really just one more random one. Kaido can't do any more miracles. To live now, but only temporarily. What's going on with that terrifying force? Stussy's voice was slightly sharp. Look at the soldiers surrounding Kaido. She exclaimed with a look of disbelief. That's a sea of soldiers. Soldiers who cover the earth. That's at least millions. How is this possible? As a spy elite member of world government CP0, she has news in both black and white. I have never heard of a force that can possess so many terrifying forces. Even if it's the world government, I'm afraid it may not be possible. How did he hide so many troops until now and was discovered? Didn't anyone know before? Such heavy news. It scares her all. There must be an opportunity to pass this important information back to the world government. The threat of this allies, far above Whitebeard. It must be eradicated as soon as possible. It must not continue to develop. Just kidding. With such a huge force of troops, we really didn't have any news before. Is secrecy done so well? Can the world government do it with such a force? Looking at what should have been a wasteland. At the moment, it is a place of the sea of adults. These giants, unprecedented shock. The general strength, they simply do not put it in their eyes. Everyone here, which one is not a strong person? Even if there are 10,000 people, 100,000 people. As long as it is an ordinary fighter, they are perfectly capable of leveling. But these millions, maybe even 5 million troops. It's really impressive. Even a little scary. Kaido lost. Some giants have come to a conclusion. Even if Kaido is alive. But defeat is certain. This is an obvious thing. No one refuted it. What surprise? Ren asked the engineer. Although every base and laboratory thing. He only needs to find the relevant reminder in the system. He knows too. But that information is too much. Normally Ren doesn't take the initiative to find it. Instead, he commanded his subordinates. Report any important findings to yourself. This is most convenient. Don't keep an eye on all the information in the system. After all, with more and more buildings, various reminder messages. It's massive. When monitoring the battle with Kaido just now, we found that many soldiers attacked Kaido, although it did not have much effect, but as long as the attack reached a certain level, the star rating could be increased. Just now, some of the soldiers have risen to 3 stars. The experimental engineer explains. Kaido, that guy is still alive. You say you didn't participate in killing and destroying enemy buildings, and the soldiers broke through. Ren was surprised. Since he exploded more troops, other soldiers who want to ascend to the stars have to rely on laboratories and gene replication centers. Unexpectedly, this time there was a new ascending star route. The birth of these 4-star soldiers is not easy. All are born from a large number of cardinalities. If the base star rating of this large number of bases is higher, the more 4-star soldiers that naturally arise. It is even possible that new 5-star soldiers will appear. The stronger the strength, the more and more there are. His allies will be stronger overall. Through the battle with Kaido just now, Ren found out if the timing was not right. Many low-level 1 or 2-star soldiers. Often there is no chance to get close to Kaido within a radius of 100 meters. Will be directly strangled by the aftermath of the stick. If not with the help of various weapons. Achieve fire suppression. That makes it even less useful. So the soldier star can be improved in one more way. Definitely a big surprise. Just imagine, if every soldier could reach 4 stars. All have the strength of bounty tens of millions. Even if you can resist the attacks of some strong people. Those hundreds, millions, or even tens of millions. That attrition of enemy troops. It is a thousandfold, a tenfold increase. If so, when the time comes, face a monster like Kaido. You don't necessarily need a nuclear bomb yet. It is possible that the soldiers of the base number will pile them alive. Have you figured out the specific conditions for ascending stars? Ren asked quickly. Even this moment, even Kaido was temporarily left behind by him. Yes, the conditions are determined. As long as the firepower output to the enemy reaches a certain value in 1 minute, even if the enemy cannot be killed, the soldiers can rise to the stars. In fact, this situation has happened sporadically before, but at that time, there were very few of them, and it was impossible to be sure, and they all thought that it was only caused by destroying enemy buildings and killing enemies. But just now, the main enemy is only Kaido, so I found out. Listen to this report. Ren suddenly realized something. That is, even if we test the firepower of the prisoners, if we don't kill, we will continue to produce 3-star soldiers. Yes, good, good. Ren really didn't expect such a surprise. Is this when the system faces a strong enemy? Is it automatic and adaptable? Or some of the reactions of the GIs coming into contact with the world? This has happened before. For example, you must live or study in an environment. Talented ones can evolve into 4-star soldiers. Ren was pleasantly surprised though. But it didn't feel like it was a completely impossible thing to happen. I wanted to solve you directly, but now, I have to squeeze out the last bit of your value. Ren gave a devilish smile. At the time it was discovered that Kaido was still alive. Ren was also surprised, and marvel at Kaido, the strongest creature that lives up to its name. Then I was going to fire another nuclear bomb. Kill him. But now there is this discovery. Even if some soldiers die. But if you can make other soldiers rise to the stars. It's also a profitable trade. Anyway, Kaido will definitely die today. He can only die. Such careerists are unlikely to surrender to anyone. His will is firm and crazy. The mind controller probably doesn't work. Conqueror's haki is too strong. And their philosophies are too different. Kaido wants to create a world where violence solves everything. Ren wants to create a world where even the weak can defend their rights and interests through the laws of order. Because the old man is a weak person and a party that needs to be guarded. It's exactly 2 extremes. It is also to gather the hearts of the people. Wano Kuni is a place that is easy to defend and difficult to attack. Hold here with his forces. The world government sends many strong people. It may not be able to take it down. But if there is internal instability, there are more traitors, and naturally more opportunities for the enemy. Take them down. Ren stood on the Kiriv airboat. Looking at Ember and Kaido, he waved his big hand. Allied soldiers raised their weapons and shot wildly. Bang bang, da da da, tom ho ho, all kinds of weapons roar. The whole of Wano Kuni is like being enveloped in fire. Big brother Kaido. Ember spreads his wings and carries all the bullets on his shoulders. Surround Kaido and sweep away countless shells. Fire Dragon Emperor. The ember wrapped around the flames and cut out. A Flame Dragon King wrapped around the 2 of them. Avoid being swallowed up by this hail of bullets. He is a Lunaria, a race that claims to survive in all circumstances. A race that once lived in Red Line and should have been extinct. Its vitality is also extremely tenacious. Kaido raised his eyelids slightly. Strong anger burns. When will he even need to rely on his subordinates to protect? But now he has to slow down. Otherwise I haven't done it yet. He himself could have died violently. The fire continued to fire, but only the most basic guns. Crazy intensive shooting in 1 minute. And Ember in order to protect Kaido. At the moment, it is also mainly defensive. This gave Ren a great opportunity to train. Next batch. A minute later, that group of soldiers retreated, and replaced with another group of soldiers around them. And so on and so forth. Try to get even rain and dew. The number of Samsung soldiers has increased by 500. The number of 3-star soldiers increased by 500. Ren to verify what the experimenters said. Also pay special attention to the star rating changes of the soldiers. Sure enough, 1 minute after another, the number of Samsung soldiers is increasing rapidly. People watched constantly drowned out by guns. And constantly defending against the embers of all range attacks. Look at the miserable Kaido who has no action for the time being. For some reason, they actually rose a wave of sympathy. People are always accustomed to sympathizing with the weak. And at the moment, Ember and Kaido look like weaklings. Yamato even lowered his head a little unbearably. Soon Ember and Kaido also discover that there is a gap between the attacks of this group of soldiers. It's as if you don't intend to kill them all at once. Kaido reacted quickly, even if he was covered in bruises. Dying, it is still an unprecedented rage at this moment. Too much deception. Lao Su is Kaido of the beasts. Kaido saw it at once. That guy is training with them. I have never been so humiliated. Shen. Even if he is killed by the fire, Kaido will not be so furious. Pirate world, life and death. He is not afraid of death. It's just a matter of success or defeat. But Ren actions are humiliating his dignity as a strong man. Even if he dies, he will bite off a piece of meat from this guy. Chapter 71. Kaido is a monster entrenched in Wano-kuni. He does not die, and Wano-kuni will never have a founding day. Are there still few innocent people who have died at their hands for so many years? A wandering girl stood beside Yamato and said. She was originally a woman from a good family in Wano-kuni. But she was taken captive by pirates and became a wandering girl. Serve the pirates. After a long time, she also went numb. Accustomed to doing what is told. But now this numbness is broken. Get back something called hope. I know. Yamato was about to defeat his father, Kaido. It's just that she doesn't know yet that her handcuffs will indeed explode. There is still a silver lining for Kaido. Kaido is falling. Will there be a real tomorrow for Wano-kuni? Hiyori clasped his hands nervously. It was already desperate. Who would have thought in that moment? Ren finished such a beautiful counterattack. Directly forced Kaido into a corner. Today, Kaido and Ember are surrounded by millions of soldiers. And the state is so bad. There can only be one ending. That's death. Young people nowadays are terrible. Hyagoro of the Rabbit Bowl and others. I couldn't help but sigh. Kaido is such a mountain that has weighed on their hearts for decades. It's about to fall right now. But let's be honest. Kaido didn't really fall before. Their hearts are carried. Ember, get out of the way. Kaido held the mace and looked directly at Ren standing in the air not far away, full of killing intent. Brother Kaido, if it really doesn't work, let's go first. Ember tried to persuade Kaido to leave. As long as they live, they have the possibility of rising again. Although it is very difficult to escape. But as long as Kaido Big Brother has this idea, he would gamble his life to do it. I won't run away, Kaido said without the slightest hesitation. He walked with steps, carrying the mace. Wield your mace and head straight for Ren. This is his last madman. Seeing this, Ember did not stop it again, did not persuade again. In fact, he knew it was useless. He knows his big brother. Just hold on to the possibility of just in case. Imperial Fire Dragon Emperor. The only thing he can do is accompany Kaido Big Brother and fight until the last moment. Rumble. With a wave of the long knife, the wings shook, and a flame dragon emperor that was bigger than just now spewed out. Burn the soldiers and tanks in front of you to ashes and molten iron. Pieces of soldiers are dying. Ember is covering Kaido. Since it is a desperate situation. That's just a go. Kill a bloody road. Perhaps, it can work miracles. No matter how bad it is, you can die simply. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido swept away thousands of soldiers with a mace in one hand. This time there was no entanglement around Conqueror's haki. It's just a relatively ordinary trick in normal times. At this moment made him feel severe pain. The wound cracked further and blood splattered. But he doesn't care anymore. He only had Ren in his eyes. Want to survive. I want to make this little devil pay. He has to go forward and kill. Kill through, he wins. Worthy of being an emperor on the sea, putting aside tyranny, with such boldness, no wonder it can go so far. Ren watches Kaido and Ember in a final fight. Although the destructive power is not comparable to before. But its will in this desperate posture. But it's still quite impressive. But unfortunately, for the sake of my great cause, you will hold on a little longer. Ren said calmly. This made Cyrus, as a guard, feel a chill in his heart. Is Lord Ren the devil? I actually want the enemy to hold on a little longer. To be honest, look at Kaido and Ember who are crazy and fight for their lives. His heart was trembling. This fighting spirit is terrifying. Especially when I think about it not so long ago. Kaido just aimed Conqueror's Haki at them. At that moment, he didn't even have time to make any counterattack. It's even more jealous of this. But Lord Ren treats him so casually. Allied soldiers kept firing. The 4-star warrior even engaged in melee combat. Now Ember and Kaido are both poor crossbows. Under the cover of fire. They don't necessarily kill 4-star soldiers instantly. And as long as it can't be killed instantly, it is bound to be dragged. At this time, the artillery fire is another hello. It gave a large number of Allied soldiers the opportunity to export firepower. Poof, poof, many armor-piercing shells that were not of much use before. The wound that can bloom along Kaido at the moment. Penetrate deep into the body and tear his body further. Under the action of radiation, Kaido's flesh and blood have long lost their original vitality and strength. Whoosh, the laser beam also hit. Some were blocked by Kaido. Some are not completely blocked. The body is getting more and more porous. Gurgle, despite the increasing number of injuries. But Kaido is killing crazy demons at this time. He laughed maniacally as if he were returning to the light. Such a blood fight is more in line with him. Dominating Wano Kuni is just for the needs of the forces. But his life, from an early age, was a life of fighting. Everything can be solved by war and battle. His kingdom of Voka is at war all year round. Because all the member countries had to hand over expensive heavenly gold to the nobles of the world. Many countries cannot afford to pay. It can only wage war to plunder other countries. Kaido, who grew up against this AEG background. At just 10 years old, he became the strongest warrior in the entire kingdom. Later, the country, in order to get the opportunity to participate in the World Summit, betrayed him to Marine. After escaping from Marine, at the age of 15, he joined the then famous Rocks pirate. Looking back now, it was Whitebeard's smelly old man who invited him. His life was full of violence and killing. So solve the problem with violence. It is also his life credo. He wanted to put those world aristocrats high above. Pull into a world full of violent rules. Let them survive in their own world of rules. Just as they set the rules for the world. In this way, everyone is the same. But alas, it can't be done now. This little devil, he has the same firm will in his eyes. What kind of world does he want to create? 8 trigrams. Drunken wheel thunder. Inaraku. Kaido shines back to the light, burning life. Use violent means to destroy the enemy in front of you. Wherever he passed, a corpse was left behind. Little devil, do you want to change the world too? Kaido suddenly shouted at Ren. He didn't even know why Ren had shot at him. But he didn't ask. Because you live on this sea. As a pirate, it is not surprising that anyone shoots at him. Everyone can kill. They can all be killed. It's just that he is curious. A monster imp with such strength and such a meticulous mind. What is it asking for? A world that is very different from what you want. That kind of world can't carry your ideas. Ren looked at Kaido and said lightly. The curiosity of a dying man. There is nothing unusual. It's true that he wants to kill himself. He was curious that his purpose was also true. Hear Ren say this. Kaido understood immediately. This guy knows their entire Beasts Pirates very well. How else would they know what their Beasts Pirates philosophy is? It's just that why I never found him before. In the shadow of this world. He was already being targeted. But I don't know anything. It seems that today's defeat is not unjust. Everyone has to pay for their own carelessness. Isn't a world where violence solves all problems pure enough? That's the nature of the world. It's just that Kaido doesn't know what's wrong with the philosophy he upholds. That's how he grew up. You have also suffered from the oppression of the world government. Have you ever wondered if you still need to kill if there is no oppression? Violence is the last resort, not the norm, and there is no tranquility in a bloody world. Quote, I don't know, I never thought about this. It seems that we are indeed not all the way, but from now on, those old guys in the world government may have a headache. Kaido couldn't understand it. Because his whole life was full of violence and killing. There is no other concept. But think of the aristocrats of the world government. Will be an enemy of this monster imp. He felt the faces of those guys. It should be interesting. Ren stopped talking. Watch Kaido gradually move toward death. At this time, Ren was already thinking about how to make good use of Kaido's corpse. He wants to keep Kaido's body. Used to study his genetic particles. Create stronger soldiers. The Marine Science Department of this world can create a blazing angel, similar to Hancock. A stronger pacifist, capable of outlawing the 7 warlords of the sea. 0. Ren felt like she was putting advantage of Kaido's body. In addition, it has its own gene replication center and various laboratories. On technology, set on Becca-Punk. Maybe it will be possible to produce soldiers with more characteristics than the 4-star self-detonator. You know, Wano Kuni has a lot of abilities. And caught so many zone abilities alive. More material for the experiment will be more than ever. Lord Ren, there was a discovery in the sea near Wano Kuni. I thought it was just an ordinary news bird, but this is the latest footage. Just at the end of Kaido's bloody fight with Ember. Ren waits for the countdown to their deaths. Suddenly news and pictures came from the air headquarters. All the attention and commands were on monitoring Kaido. Didn't pay special attention to what was around him. Even the picture of Ember is at the back. Not a priority. Kaido broke out of Conqueror's Haki several times. It also affected some signals to some extent. Briefly lost a few times. So Ren didn't notice a bird in the nearby sea. Now look at the teleportation back. Ren frowned slightly. News Bird King, Morgans, what is this guy doing with the video phone bug? Who do you contact? Ren didn't deliberately hide his shot at Wano Kuni. But there were still 2 days before Summit War. He doesn't want any moths. The war must be fought. Defeat both sides. When I stepped in and took Marineford down. So that there will not be much resistance. Otherwise, the world government feels more dangerous than Whitebeard. Aim the entire Marine HQ gathered at this moment. That's a big trouble. Ren knows so many troops of his own. It is definitely enough to shake the rule of the world government. Once exposed, they will never let themselves go easily. But Ren just took Wano Kuni. It takes a few days to collect the soul ore. Further strengthen their own strength. That's when you can really not be afraid of multiple admiral. Also to prepare for the battle between Marine Headquarters and Whitebeard. There were countless deaths in that battle, and there were many strong people. Several times stronger than Beast's pirates alone. If it is at the end of the fierce battle, a large amount of soul ore will definitely be generated. And at that time, it was also the time when Ren officially declared war on the world government to the world. But he wants to be a yellow finch, not a praying mantis or a cicada. Wano Kuni's news couldn't be hidden. Even news of Kaido's demise will reach 5 elders immediately. But as long as they do not know their specific forces and weapons, they'll feel Kaido's defeat. There are a number of reasons. At best, I'm just a new 4 emperors. They will even be glad that Kaido, this difficult guy, has finally been pulled off the horse. But if you know all your forces and nuclear weapons, your own danger will be far greater than 4 emperors and Whitebeard. It is certain that it is possible for them to turn their guns and hit themselves. And not play Whitebeard. That's not what Ren wanted to see. Since you have been discovered, avoid the long nightmares and kill Kaido and Ember. Ren frowned slightly. But it's still calmer. After all, the Morgans guy doesn't have that good relationship with the world government. And he's still here. Just don't let him run. Ren words fell. At the same time, many Kirav airboats and thousands of planes were mobilized to teleport to Morgans. Surround it. Discovered. So engaged, the camouflage canvas forgot to open. Folks, there's something to say. Morgenstern was shocked. Quickly put down the video phone bug. Raise your hands obediently. Try to put on a kind smile. He obviously has maintained that distance and height. In the direction of Wano Kuni. I should be the size of dust. How could it be discovered? Now it's going to happen. This is a cruel little monster. The other party really wants to keep himself. You may not be able to escape. Kaido and Ember have radiation sappers next to each other. Radiation further weakens their bodies. They have been exhausted of all their physical strength. Now it's just holding on. Ready to be harvested by Ren. Now there is a little change. Plus the value of both Kaido and Ember is also squeezed to about the same level. Send them on their way first. Two self-detonated under a large number of radiation sappers. There is no hockey and physical strength to support. The flesh and blood are gradually showing signs of melting. I can't hold my feet up, so I fall down on my knees. Then the prism tower is accumulating an enhanced laser beam. The laser beam at this time is enough to kill them. To preserve the corpse, Ren naturally won't use radiator anymore, so as not to accidentally melt them completely. Buzz. Hundreds of light prism towers are charging power at the same time. Woohoo! Then two beams of light symbolizing death hit Kaido and Ember. Is this the end of it? Both are calm. They all know. Being the leader of the enemy is mortal. If you don't die, this man will accept their territory and power. The resistance is too great. Slow down. But suddenly there was a sudden change, and a deep female voice suddenly sounded. Then a giant sword chi shock wave slammed straight towards the two laser beams that shot at Kaido and Ember. Boom and blast. The laser beam is blasted. The giant sword chi shockwave is still rushing forward. All the light prism towers in the same direction have been swept away. Clear a whole open space. Kaido, that guy's life, I saved. Overbearing, non-negotiable voice sounded. Ren looked up. I saw it over Morgan's. A huge red carpet suddenly appeared. There was a group of people standing on it. When I saw that group of guys, even Ren, his pupils couldn't help but contract suddenly. It turned out to be all famous monsters in this sea. It's not as simple as one or two. How did these guys come together? The one who spoke was Charlotte Linlin, the Sea Emperor, who was as intimidating as Kaido. Commonly known as Auntie, she was looking at Ren with a look of annoyance. In his hand holds the life-given Napoleonic knife. As soon as she arrived, she launched her terrifying soul question towards Ren. Life or Kaido? The shipping king you met originally did not plan to wade into this troubled water. Wano Kuni is dangerous now. Although the allies fought a big battle with Beast's pirates, both sides suffered heavy losses. It looks like there is even oil and water to fish. But just now Morgan's live broadcast has resumed. They can see the scene. Learned about Kaido's immediate situation. There's no need to venture to the scene. Although there are many of them. I am not afraid to go to the scene. But it's yourself who has to contribute. Such a long jump distance. After he passed, he had no self-preservation power. He didn't want his life to be in the hands of others. And Kaido's fate and results. It's already obvious. So many wounds, plus so many troops. How is it possible to survive? Even if you can live now. After that, I am afraid that I will not be able to return to the top. But the intention is always the intention. When the ant's spirit became more and more unstable, watch Kaido finally give it a go and fight to the end. She suddenly roared. Conqueror's haki exploded. Then he couldn't help it, and grabbed him by the neck. Ask with the soul fruit. Choose to go, or choose life. If she does not go, she will be deprived of her life. Go, of course, then it will be fine. And although the shipping king is also an underground giant, his strength is not weak. But after all, a businessman. Facing his aunt, he still showed a little fear. Therefore, the soul fruit ability was activated. The terrifying soul shadow pressed against him. It is difficult for his strength to be used. Of course, he is not without powerful allies. The Golden Emperor fired a golden bomb punch at Ant. But he was picked up by his aunt. Auntie, are you crazy? Ahem. Yumet didn't know what kind of madness Ant suddenly had. He said with difficulty, glaring at her angrily. Here, underground giants generally do not sneak up on each other. Because once not dead, or dead, will cause many conflicts between forces. Auntie, of course, is not afraid of him. But if he contacts several allies, I am also sure to make my aunt suffer a big loss. He is the world's shipping king, specially for transporting some precious things to countless underground giants in the world. And even including troops. Many countries relied on his fast fleet. Won the war. My aunt also has a lot of business with him. There are the same interests. Normally, she shouldn't attack herself. Because I wasn't too defensive. Only to be hit by the ant. Your soul has responded, and your time is running out. Decide quickly. The environment behind the ant has changed. Affected by fruit ability. It was a terrifying screaming soul. Stretch out the palm of nothingness at the moment. Grabbing Yumit's soul that was affected by the ability to bear fruit due to fear. As long as the ant's soul gently sucks on his soul, all his lifespan will go to zero. I hesitated. Umit. More unpleasant. I advise you to agree. A trip will not cost you your life. Our promise just now is still valid. Although the guy from Kaido has been fighting with the old woman all these years, the relationship is not as bad as you think. Silver Axe also persuaded at this time. Morgans was surrounded just now. I can't turn a blind eye. Let's go. The Lone Shark said. You guys. Yumet saw that Silver Axe and the Lone Shark agreed with Auntie's decision. He gradually became helpless. Medea, this jumping fruit ability. It brought him countless riches and his current status. Sometimes it's a hassle. I can't trust you, Jabba. As long as Jabba keeps me safe, I'll go with you. Otherwise, everyone won't want to go. Yumet looked at Jabba and said. Yes. Jabba just groaned for a second. Then I agreed. For the God Slayer that appeared on the sea. He's actually a little interested. I just don't know if it will be the person the captain has been waiting for. But whether it is or not, this allied leader Ren, it will definitely affect the entire world pattern. It's also good to contact in advance to see what kind of person this is. It's important to plan ahead. Captain Roger had predicted a sea change in this era. He and Rayleigh are waiting for an opportunity. An opportunity to fulfill the captain's long-cherished wish. Song. Hand, I promised. Yumet looked at her aunt angrily. When the aunt heard this, she let go. But Conqueror's Haki is still free. Don't give him a chance to escape. Who else would like to go? Umit also accepted his fate. Morgans was besieged. The live broadcast was interrupted. Kaido didn't know if he was dead. I was very curious about this young man, and I went to make a scene. Queen of the Pleasure District Stussy intends to get up close. Hope to get more intelligence. It is then reported to 5 elders. Kaido's business is broken, so try to see if you can do business with this ally. Dealing will be necessary in the future. Tezzolo pondered for a few seconds. Also decided to go to Wano-kuni. Those of us who are old and immortal will not participate in your affairs. The ghost mother-in-law also wants Kaido to die, though. But in fact, it is also a breath of anger in the past. There is no need to go there in person. They didn't want to be too far from Aqua Star Island. In case something happens, they will get farther and farther away from Raftel. The final decision to travel to Wano-kuni was Ant, Sea King, Yuzuri King, Silver Axe, Akoku, Stussy, Jabba, Tezzolo or 8 underground giants. Except that the Ant went to save Kaido. Others are either on the sidelines. Either for a new business or Kaido territory. Ren kind of warships, weapons. They are all eager. As for Kaido, a man who basically cannot survive. It's not worth much anymore. This sea has no eternal emperor. When someone falls, someone rises. If it weren't for the Ant. Silver Axe Akoku thinks Kaido hadn't died. 1 breath left. They don't mind making up a knife. And they are the pedestrian traveling. Not to mention the 4 emperors. Even if the world government sees it, it has to go around for a while. Wano-kuni though is dangerous, but they weren't very worried. After making a decision, Yumet used the awakening of his ability. A blanket that jumps the distance of space is woven. Everyone stood up. The ability is activated, and they disappear from place with a whoosh. Within seconds, he appeared beside Morgans out of thin air. You guys came too slowly. Seeing this, Morgans flapped his wings with trepidation. Although his escape kung fu is superb. But in the face of this allies who can take out the entire beast's pirates. He wasn't sure. Once in this sea, Yumet turned pale. Lying on the edge of the blanket and vomited directly. Some prostration. And what they didn't expect was. On this arrival, Ant directly launched an attack on the leader of the allied forces. Even the most powerful side of the fruit's ability was used. Soul question. With the dual blessings of soul deterrence and Conqueror's Haki. Even if it is a strong person whose strength is not weak. It will also subconsciously feel fear. Once fearful, the whole soul will be controlled by her. It's still so reckless. If it weren't for the talent pervert, he would have been hammered to death long ago. Akoku looked at the auntie who did it directly. Quite dissatisfied said, after all, some of them didn't come to fight evil. The ant directly attacked the opposing leader like this. It is easy to provoke wars and contradictions. But they are not in a hurry. On the contrary, it is quite a bullish gesture. They all have their own confidence and strength. There will be no rush to explain anything to people. Even this is an allied leader who cornered Kaido. However, they thought that the ant would negotiate with the leader of the allied forces in a relatively peaceful manner. I didn't expect it to be so rigid. At the same time, they are curious. Will the leaders of the allied forces really be unable to touch the defense? You must know that the ability of the ant is extremely pervert. Especially when it comes to targeting the soul and spirit. And as soon as they arrived, almost everyone's observation haki was released to ultimate. The powerful bomb before, let each of them have lingering fears. After seeing it, no one dared to be careless. Spread observation haki to ultimate as much as possible. They found out through live streaming. That bomb is terrifying, though. The flight speed is also extremely fast. But if only they could sense it in advance. It doesn't have to be impossible to avoid. The guy from Kaido was hit twice. The first time was completely unaware of such a thing. The second time was when Ren used herself and many of her men as bait. Caught him off guard. Now, of course, it's on. You can also look at the rate of the ant. Will this allied leader be recruited? Judging from the breadth that observation haki perceives, this allied leader is not very strong. Of course, this is compared to them. If you compare it with the average person, it should be a very strong fighter. If the leader of the allied forces is killed, that millions of terrorist legions and Kaido's territory, they are not polite to scrape together. Each of them stared at Ren carefully. But only an instant later, they were all disappointed. They saw under Anti's conqueror's haki and soul deterrence. Ren is calm as water. Don't say it's fear. There wasn't even the slightest wave of expression. Full command ability gave Ren at a critical moment the best cool head. He couldn't just take a look at his aunt. It was fearful of her. Even Kaido is now his subordinate defeated. How can an ant of the same level make him fearful? There was no response. When the giants saw this, they were extremely surprised. The jealousy of Ren is a little more. With Ren personal strength. In front of individuals who are stronger than him. Even if it's unexpected, he didn't even have the slightest fear. You must know that just now Yumet was unable to touch it, but there was fear. What a strange camp. Ren became wary. How did Ant and Tezzolo, the lone shark, Jabba get together? Many of them are opponents. 0. What's even stranger is that they appear unanimously in the waters of Wano-kuni. This is not a good sign. Especially the ant just threatened to keep Kaido. What is the situation here? Are you going to save Kaido? Ren frowned slightly. With his mind, he couldn't figure out what was going on at the moment. The only thing that can be thought of. It has to do with Morgans. He was contacting them with a phone bug just now. But although Morgans is famous in the world, it is not weak. But it's impossible to move so many monsters at the same time. Ren, who is not clear about the situation, silently turned on all the nuclear bomb silos and lightning storms. As long as the instructions are in place, attack in no time. Little devil, hand over Kaido. Ant is very capable. One could even say pervert. But as long as there is no fear, not to be manipulated by her soul lifespan, the threat of those with the ability of this fruit is reduced to very low. This is an extremely difficult judgment ability at the upper and lower limits. Of course, as 4 emperors, the combat power in all aspects should not be underestimated. Linlin. By this time Kaido and Ember could not move. In the middle of the army, pointed at by countless guns and light towers. The expression is complicated at the moment. He didn't expect Linlin to come to his rescue. Ren hadn't spoken yet. Silver Axe couldn't wait to say, "Boy, slaughter Kaido, let's scrape his territory, I can help you deal with her too." The women Silver Axe is talking about are naturally aunts. How about selling me a few of your powerful shells, the price is negotiable. Akoku also said with torch-like eyes. Ren didn't speak up. Eyes swept over everyone on the blanket. It seems that they are not a gang. They should have arrived here with the same ability. Not a gang, then it will be easy to do. Do you know about nuclear bombs? It seems that Morgans was just passing some intelligence to these underground giants, so it makes sense. Ren smiled faintly. They really want to be a gang. Ren felt that even if he had tens of millions of troops, he was dangerous. No, now all, including the garrisons of several other kingdoms combined. There are only more than 8 million left. Taking down Quinn and other pirate group cadres is less than 500,000. In order to drive Kaido and Ember into this desperate situation, nearly 1,000,000 troops were also lost, although a considerable part of them were destroyed by nuclear bombs. But this account is rightfully on Kaido's head. But the forces that are surviving now, many star ratings have been raised. The overall strength is stronger than 10 million times. And you'll be able to mine Wano Kuni's soul ore in no time. There is a lot more concentration of soul ore here than in Dressrosa. Ren was looking forward to it. Again blast. What a terrifying amount his legion can reach. 100 million, or more, but for now, you have to think about it. And since it is not a gang, then it will not be difficult to deal with. See Ren silent. Silver Axe frowned slightly, because after he said that, Kaido's cold eyes suddenly fell on him. It is not yet known whether Kaido has the power to fight back at the end, as well as the ant is by his side. Otherwise, he would have poisoned himself just now. Boy, don't think that if you defeat Kaido, you will be able to get through in New World, but I come with sincerity, I think we will become very good friends. Silver Axe didn't dare to overdo it. After all, the strength of this little devil is too terrifying. And the means are vicious. Don't dare to really underestimate. Just said in a half-cautioning tone. Are you teaching me how to do things? Ren looked at Silver Axe with a faint smile. For some reason, Silver Axe felt that his strength was clearly stronger than Ren. At this moment, I still feel a complete chill. I was dumbfounded all of a sudden. What about you, except for the old woman, who have come to be friends with me? Ren directly ignored the ant. When the ant heard this, blue tendons gradually appeared on her forehead. Her observation haki has spread toward the Kaido location. Always ready to get your hands dirty. But just now the raid failed. It's time to try negotiation. Yes, we have no malice, everyone who has money to earn together, it's better than fighting to the death. You just won Wano Kuni, you also need to develop. The lone shark saw Ren look over, so he also opened his mouth. Kaido's territory is huge, we can help. Okoku put it a little more bluntly. Nice words, but so many people admit it together. Quite a few of them are alliances. To give Ren a sense of dismounting. Is it great if there are more people? It makes sense, I have no enmity with you, but since we are friends and have come from afar, we must always give a small gift and talk about our host's hospitality. Ren said with a smile. Just when everyone thought that this leader of the allied army was quite polite and understood people's feelings. Ren gently pressed her finger down. Bang! A nuclear bomb immediately soared into the air and roared towards them. See such shells. The faces of all the giants changed dramatically. Crouch. It's that kind of bomb. What are you crazy people trying to do? At this moment, whether it is the 4 emperors like Anti, or the richest man like Tezzolo, or old monsters like Akoku Silver Axe, at the moment of seeing the nuclear missile hit, none of them can remain calm. They didn't expect it anyway. In the last second, they were also considered to be funny and polite people. In the next second, he threw such a dangerous thing at them. We can fight it together. In the crowd, Akoku shouted. But no one joined forces. Everyone dispersed as fast as they could in their lives. All you, the Sea King saw that each of them was running faster than lightning. No one paid attention to him, and he suddenly broke his mouth and cursed in anger. In order to send them from Aqua Star Island, he consumes too much. Saying yes will protect him. As a result, as soon as there was danger, they all ran away. But the words are not finished. Jabba lifted him and instantly jumped into the sea. He could see that the shell was hitting their position in the air. The shipping king looked at Jabba with great emotion. It's good that he is witty. Previously pulled a guarantee ticket for himself. Otherwise, he will be finished at this moment. Wait a minute, except for Jabba. Others will let them go back on their own. Dry them brew virtue. I almost died. Bang! The nuclear explosion sounded, and the terrifying power reappeared. A mushroom cloud rose out of thin air. They've all seen live streams before. And as soon as it arrived, observation haki was mentioned to prevent this possibility. Everyone is engrossed. It's just in speculation. This situation should only happen when the two sides collapse. And not now, bombed as soon as they meet. Is this kid really a neuropathy? Just for a moment, each of them pulled some distance. The rate of nuclear bomb fire is for these strong ones. Just be on guard. It does avoid the core area. 220. The main thing is what has already been exposed. Everyone is on guard. Unless multiple nuclear bombs blow up together. But Ren just wanted to try to see how they reacted. He even made a deliberate gesture. Let them be alert. After all, Ren wasn't really trying to kill them. Just test if they are really loose sand. Especially to see if there are allies on Auntie's side. At the same time, let them correct their attitude. An arrogant attitude towards those who come later. They say that cooperation means cooperation. Saying that if you want to save people, you have to save people. Now which is in their own turf. Want to talk business? Let's get the attitude right first. It's just a wake up bomb. But even so, they can't completely avoid it. The mushroom cloud area escaped. But the shockwave, sound wave, and the escaping flames still caught up with them at great speed. Poof. Some people vomited blood and were shocked and injured their internal organs. Some clothes burst and their bodies tore open and scarred. Some of the skin was burned a little blackened by the air. At this moment, all the giants are a little embarrassed. Even the ant was swept unkempt by the blast wave of the explosion. It seems that after these guys are on guard, it is really difficult to hit, and it will be necessary to block it with more than one blockade. Explosive troops, weapons must also explode more as king. Ren also tested the true ability of the world's top giants to respond to nuclear explosions. Kaido's kind is not a good reference. He is very strong, but he suffers a loss that he does not know anything. As well as being calculated by himself one after another in battle. And it took a variety of superweapons and millions of soldiers to force him to that situation. Little devil, what do you mean by that? Want to declare war on all of us? Silver Axe was seriously injured. He's not particularly good at speed. But the sight is outstanding. Or escaped the most terrifying mushroom cloud core bombing zone. He glared at Ren and held two silver axes. The extremely powerful armament Haki has been covered. Electric flashes on the axe. As long as Ren doesn't give a reasonable explanation. He doesn't mind doing it. Of course, he alone will be more cautious. But this shell covered all of them together. I believe that he is not the only one who is unhappy. It's not good for him to join forces with Ant. Ant wants to save Kaido. Sooner or later, I will have to face this little devil. Little one, don't be too young and vigorous. Tezzolo's eyes also looked at Ren uncertainly. I don't know what Ren means. They are all brilliant people. Knowing Ren below, I didn't want to really kill them. And he shouldn't be that stupid either. Even if he knocks down Kaido. But that's just 4 emperors. There are 8 of them, plus Morgans. A group of 9 people, if not for each other's hearts and eyes, do not trust each other. Together, they are powerful enough to shake the whole world. But if someone provokes them at the same time, if you really want to find death, they also don't mind joining forces once in a while. Let this person disappear completely. Little devil, you have already won, why rush to kill? Now release Kaido, I will let him quit Wano Kuni, and will not let him be an enemy of you again, and you cannot be blamed for what happened just now. The raid just now failed to bear fruit. Auntie has now changed her approach. As long as you can keep Kaido alive first. Just say the good things first. This is also a rare time when she bows her head. When Kaido heard this, he was quite ashamed. Linlin, I don't need you to save me, the world of pirates, no mercy. Shut up, losing to a little devil, what dignity do you have, and you still owe me favors, don't think about being relieved so easily. Ant directly rebuked. Look at the angry ant. Kaido was silent. You are all big people with heads and faces in the world, but how do I know if you are qualified to cooperate with me? It is impossible for a cat and a dog to say that if you want to come and get a piece of the pie, just to say hello to everyone. Ren looked at the giants. Without haste, he spoke. Now it seems that everyone who survives is indeed eligible. Listen to Ren. Believe it or not, everyone's faces gradually eased. At least the road was not blocked. That said, Ren didn't want to talk to them. Rather, it is quite possible that they are arrogant and want to test their qualifications. This was on a young man who had just taken out 4 emperors. But just right, arrogant, confident, arrogant. But all strong people will inevitably have some problems. As long as Ren doesn't admit to killing them. It's not crazy. This is a small loss, but they can accept it. After all, they don't really want to start a war with this little madman in Wano-kuni. But not everyone thinks so. If we hadn't escaped just now, then we would have died in vain. The leader of the Allied forces, the shelf is really big. Stussy swayed Meowman's posture and said with a bit of yin and yang. She's not here to see these giants talking to another rising 4 emperors. If conditions permit, she had to try to destroy. It seems that some people still have some opinions, so let's help you kill 4 emperors. I believe you will not come to save Kaido. Ren looked slightly cold. At this time, all the giants understand. Who would admit to saving 4 emperors? Kaido? Then there is no need to talk about anything directly as a mortal enemy. Of course not. Even Stussy would not admit it at this moment. But soon she recalled the sentence. His face changed slightly, killing 4 emperors to help the fun. Stop. Auntie Ben tried to negotiate with Ren. But he didn't seem to accept it. Without the slightest hesitation, Aunt immediately jumped on Zeus and threw Prometheus at Ren with her hand. Prometheus, fireball instantly expanded into the sun, releasing a terrifying temperature. There are signs of melting steel all around Ren. But the ant herself did not rush to Ren. Instead, he rushed in the direction of Kaido. Napoleonic knife in hand, step on Zeus thunderclouds. Ren wasn't going to talk to her at all, even if the conditions she prescribes seemed to be good. But everyone knows, these conditions, open as open. But compliance or non-compliance is another matter. Thunder Destruction Sword. When Prometheus pounced on Ren, Cyrus, the escort, finally fulfilled his duty as an escort this time. With both hands on the sword, meet the slash. Wrapped around the thunder light, a sharp sword, directly blocked the blow of Prometheus. And without the slightest concession. His strength has always been strong. After going through the gene center to recover the body and taking the gene fluid. Compared to Gion, it is only a little weaker. Block the attack that the ant swings casually. Naturally, it's no problem. This sharp sword made Tezzolo, Akoku and others also pay more attention to Cyrus. The power of this escort is indeed good, even in their subordinates. There are only a few swordsmen with this strength. But just to take a look. At present, they are most concerned about Ren, the leader of the Allied forces. The Emperor broke the blade. Ant slashed out with a sword, the sword chi was rampant, and countless soldiers were smashed along the way. But there is still some way to go. And those prism towers have already lit up. Countless fighters appeared in front of Ant. Elbaf gun. Wei Guo. Seeing this, the ant cut out another terrifying sword chi. The giant sword chi shock wave tore apart countless fighters. But that's it for a while. It's enough for Ren to kill 2 people who have no resistance anymore. Humph. Self-inflicted amorous woman. Go back. Kaido looked at the ant who came to kill, but his heart was not very calm. But there is not much to say either. Either Caesar or nothing. Death to the loser. It couldn't be more normal. Poof. 2 enhanced laser beams easily pierce Kaido and Ember's heads. No, the ant's eyes were cracking, and anger and sadness burst out together. She didn't expect this little devil. Killed Kaido without hesitation. Although as an enemy, this is beyond reproach. But I have already made concessions and promises. He turned a blind eye. Why do you think you have saved someone? I said to kill 4 emperors to cheer up friends from afar, otherwise they will think that my sincerity is not enough, right, Miss Stussy? Ren smiled. Let Stussy suddenly have a numb scalp and hair standing upside down. Ren said this, obviously wanting to share the hatred of Kaido's death on her head. Although the ant will not necessarily believe it. Not necessarily bothered, but what if it really gets angry at yourself? This imp, his heart is blackened. Stussy gritted his silver teeth in hatred. Seeing this, the other giants were shocked in their hearts. Ren, this little devil, you will repay it. Just now Stussy only slightly expressed his dissatisfaction. Now it was pushed out by Ren to absorb hatred together. This guy, talk to him later. Be careful, this is what the other giants are thinking at the moment. Little devil, I'm going to slaughter you. Ant was furious. In the crazy scream, the strange sound is made. Soul deterrence accompanied by soul fruits. And the terrifying conqueror's hockey. A terrifying sound wave rippled out under her fury. The entire piece of soldiers was instantly shocked to death. Even giants like Tezzolo are only half a line weaker than 4 emperors. At this moment, he also showed embarrassment, and quickly distanced himself. Mad ant, they don't want to match. It's all crazy, isn't there a normal person? The lone shark king said in a cold sweat. Saying that, he quickly took out a cigar and lit it. I was very uneasy. He felt that this trip had not come quite right. Although knowing that Ren will most likely not let Kaido go. After all, the two sides are already mortal enemies. At this time, it is necessary to really let go. Then this leader of the allied forces is also too stupid. Stupid guy, but easy to deal with. It's not stupid now. But how is this behavior different from that of a madman? Kill Kaido and kill Kaido. I have to kill in front of my aunt. Isn't this a naked provocation? What the hell does this little devil think? That's not wise. But the next moment, they knew what he thought. Kill with a knife. The ant's strange voice rippled, hovering on the edge of the storm. But fortunately, in the end, he did not completely lose his mind. She turned her head and stared at Ren. Then he jumped high, and his huge body smashed towards Ren like a bombshell. Little devil who doesn't listen to people's advice, go down and bury that guy from Kaido. Sound light cannon. Thunder and flames wrapped around the giant sword. Surround with hockey and an energy ring appears at the top of the blade. Then a thunder fire hockey's 3 energy compression condensed high-density laser beams suddenly burst out. Huge laser cannons ran through all the planes and several Kira airboats along the way. Go straight to Ren. Iron curtain device. Ren didn't move. Barriers emerge. Rumble. This light cannon-like sword aura shot out on it. It suddenly turned into a terrifying bombing. The shock wave and the escaping laser beam made Tezzolo and others condense armament hockey to resist. When the explosion dispersed, Ren was unharmed. Everyone, you don't want Ant to kill me. If I am forced to helpless, I'm afraid I can only pull everyone on the road together. Ant has been in business for so many years, there should be a lot of territory. She is now alone, and behind me, you have also seen. Ren words made Tezzolo's face change slightly. It turned out that this guy killed Kaido. To anger the ant, is it to borrow their hand to kill the ant together? This guy is crazy, but I have to say that this proposal is really heartwarming. The lone 4 emperors are too rare to meet. Especially Silver Axe and Akoku, who have a holiday with their aunt. His eyes lit up all of a sudden. If these two really fight, Ren has put an end to the possibility of them watching. I really want to stand by and want to sit and reap the benefits. The guy said he would blow them up with him. If only he hadn't put that bomb in the first place. Tezzolo, Silver Axe and others may not take this seriously. After all, that kind of powerful bomb can't be used indefinitely. But Ren just used it casually. Give them a feeling that this thing is still sufficient. It also seems that he is a little crazy. A somewhat crazy person. How can you guarantee that he won't blow up with them? Although they will not necessarily be blown up. But in that case, you will definitely be involved in this battle. If it is destined to be involved in this battle, then it is doomed to choose one side. Then it's the ant who chooses to be alone. Or do you choose Ren, who still has millions of troops at the moment and has the ability to take down Kaido? The result is obvious. So Akoku Silver Axe even knew that Ren was killing with a knife. But I was still moved. Look at those pairs of eyes that have become extremely dangerous. Ant also came to her senses all of a sudden. Keep your distance and be vigilant for an instant. Even if she's 4 emperors, she is not afraid of anyone here. 2 or 3 can join forces. She will be in danger. She immediately understood Ren's intentions. This little devil is so insidious. They came together, clearly, for Ren. There are no of his allies here. But it was only a few rounds of verbal exchanges. They were not only divided, but forcibly opposed. Now it is dangerous to be surrounded, it is yourself. After the ant sorted it out, she couldn't believe it. And some fear. This guy never saw himself for the first time. Just thinking about killing yourself. But even she came to save Kaido herself. It's just a temporary idea. This little devil's reflexes are terrifying. This little devil's proposal sounds very reliable. Akoku slowly drew his long sword and walked towards his aunt. You miss Kaido so much, we'll send you to him with great mercy, but remember to thank us. Silver Axe hesitated for a few seconds. There was also a decision. Ren is right. Anti-King's Landing takes longer time in New World than Kaido Field. With more resource-rich islands. It is also rare that the minister's children are not taken with me now. Usually they meet with giants. I am not sure, I can't figure out whether my aunt has allies. Naturally, I don't dare to calculate my aunt like this. But now there is Ren at the front. They can go along with it. Most of the risk is borne by Ren. What do we do? The loan shark asked Morgans in a low voice. Let's wait and see, it's not sure how many people agree with this little devil's plan. Morgans was in no hurry to make a statement. Instead, choose to wait and see. To be honest, he didn't want to see his aunt have an accident. Not a pirate himself. There is business with them. Poor Akaido. Their business has been somewhat affected. If the aunt also falls, in a short period of time, the impact is great. They are gray businessmen. In fact, I hope that the situation can be relatively stable. But Akoku and Silver Axe have spoken positively. Ren, the dangerous guy who took down Kaido, was among them. This is already an extremely strong force. It is possible to take out the power of the ant. So they didn't dare to rashly stand on Ant's side. Jabba and the shipping king stand on the sea. There was a red carpet underneath your feet. Jabba, let's go, these guys will not obey anyone, I'm afraid they will have to divide the winner and the loser. The shipping king Umit didn't want to stay for a moment. Business can be discussed and done at any time. But if they break out into fighting, with the state that he can only rely on others for protection now, it's too dangerous. No hurry, not necessarily fighting. Jabba took a closer look and came to a conclusion. Almost, still can't fight. Umit is puzzled. Compared to other people's hesitant attitude, Stussy appeared more decisive. The world government is fighting the strongest 4 emperors Whitebeard. Less than 48 hours before the public execution. With Kaido, this is the contingency. It has had a great impact on the entire world pattern. If the ant is killed again, New World 4 emperors are missing 3. It's bound to be chaotic like never before. The military defense pressure on the marine base is extremely high. In case some important bases and kingdoms are captured by pirates because of this, or fall into the hands of the Revolutionary Army. Even if Whitebeard is finally killed, the gains outweigh the losses. They even risk becoming a party with huge losses. And she is keenly discovered. Ren had been planning this from the beginning. When he saw his aunt and them, suddenly that terrible bomb was fired. It must be testing whether Auntie has a firm ally. If there are staunch allies, there will be no situation where the ant may be besieged right now. But apparently, he just tested it out. There were no particularly determined allies on the scene. And after determining this man is planning to kill the ant. Obviously you cannot kill Kaido in front of Ant. He wanted to do that. Anger the ant to shoot at him. And divide their scattered sand alliance. And he intends to echo his attitude to Akoku Silver Axe. Finally, it directly broke out. Unite these strangers to counter encircle and suppress the ant. The more he pondered, the more Stussy trembled inside. This little devil's grasp of human nature and conflict is also too nuanced. This is no coincidence. It must have been calculated by him. Stussy is pretty sure of that. Because of this way to drive the wolf and devour the tiger, borrow the knife to kill people. It's one of the things their CPOs have always been best at. But even the CPO's best spy, it can't be in such a short period of time. This information is identified and put in place. Even this moment, she felt Ren was a better fit to be part of the CPO than she was. She figured out that Ren's series of operations could be divided into 3 steps. First, confirm the information of allies. Second, intensify contradictions and provoke anti. Third, weigh the pros and cons, kill people with a knife, and half force and half induce other giants to cooperate with him to counter the ant. If the battle is successful, then the 4th step should be anti-drinking hate. No way. This must not be allowed to happen. At least at such moments. The situation in the sea cannot be too turbulent. Even the world government want to take out all the 4 emperors. But that is what can only be done to ensure that the situation at sea does not riot further. And Ant is really going to be killed. What will happen to these people? Who can guarantee this maniac? Nothing to arrange and think about them. Aren't you afraid that after he kills Auntie, he will attack you again? Do you know him well? So Stussy knew he might be targeted by Ren again. But she still had to bite the bullet and say, sure enough, After this sentence came out, Silver Axe and Akoku froze. Although they have thought about the same possibility. But under the huge temptation that it is possible to take out the ant, they subconsciously ignored it. Now reminded by Stussy, they had to think hard. Speaking of which, although they have a conflict with the ant, but at least the behavior of the ant can be predicted. Available to Ren, the newly rising leader of the Allied forces. They know too little. I only know that this person has so many subordinates, and he is a little crazy. The rest is basically unknown. Besides, is Auntie so easy to deal with? Does her strength come from her subordinates? When you were on a ship before, why didn't you join forces to kill her? Beware of others who end up reaping the benefits of the fishermen and wipe you all out. Stussy is well organized. Ren's eyes narrowed slightly. This woman can really do bad things. Although Ren is just a casual try. If you can really incite them to kill the ant. That was a surprise. If you can't, there's nothing to lose by giving it a try. In his ideal country plan, 4 emperors and these monsters. As with the world government, it was also a stumbling block that prevented him from establishing a new order. Move away if you have the opportunity. It will be easier in the future. But these monsters can have the status they have today. Apparently not an idiot either. If you are not at ease, we allies can be the main attack. That way, I don't worry about me stabbing you in the back. Ren ramped up the stakes again. Sounds good. Akoku Silver Axe felt that Ren was more sincere. But I didn't do it. Auntie's eyes flickered, weighing the pros and cons. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that there were too many people hostile to her here. Just what Ren just did. And the attitude of Silver Axe Akoku. In normal times, she directly took the initiative to attack. I want to do it to myself. Don't look at how many lives you have either. A person who can become the hegemon of one side. How can it be that there is no temper? But Kaido's death, it really sounded the alarm for her. Kaido will die. It is also possible that something unexpected may happen to her. She didn't want to be prepared for anything. Consumed alive by those ordinary soldiers. If you really want to do it, you have to make sure that your own power moves with it. This way the win rate is greater. So Ant didn't speak now. Just silent, with Zeus on his feet. If the situation is not good, immediately go away. She wasn't stupid enough to know that she might not be a match for many people. And hardwood to the end. If you really want to fight, she takes the entire pirate group to fight, and the winning rate is higher. If you die, Kaido, that guy ye died in vain. Tezzolo, what do you think? Akoku suddenly looked at Tezzolo and asked. Morgans and Lone Sharks, 2 guys who are doing well in black and white. Naturally, it is unlikely that it is clear which side to take on. They are wallhead grass. Whoever wins, they do business with whom. Let them take risks. That's impossible. The shipping king does not have much combat power. Not considered for now. Jabba has always been like a wild crane. There have been only a handful of shots over the years. The strongest are the least likely to participate. Queen of the Pleasure District Stussia. Listen from her words. She is more likely to be on Auntie's side. Really on Ant's side. They don't have much advantage in combat power. Unless the last person left, Tezzolo can be on their side. Once he chooses to stand by his aunt. They feel pity. You can only give up the hunt for the ant. Unconsciously, 10 giants in the audience. It was divided into 3 factions. Emperor Exterminator, Neutral, Royalist. At this moment, everyone's eyes fell on Tezzolo. He's the golden fruit ability. Already awakened. Operates the world's largest casino at New World. He is also the Yellow Emperor of his own entertainment empire. He is the richest man in the underworld. Using money to manipulate officials such as the Marine World government. He also used force to make a huge name for himself in the underground world. He had fought the old monsters with the 4 emperors. Powerful, 4 emperors cannot ignore the existence of underestimation. Tezzolo mused. He pondered. Ren knew that today's improvised attempt to destroy the emperor was going to fail. But Ren wasn't frustrated. Instead, I take it for granted. These giants really have to be so easy to deal with. You can't become a human being in the nurturing environment of New World. It seems that any of them will be destroyed in the future. You still have to plan well. The troops exploded a little more. Wano Kuni has already taken it anyway. Just give Ren a little time. He was enough to turn the strength of the entire allied forces upside down again. Now since it is impossible to mold the ant into a public enemy of giants, then wait a little longer. Wait for your allies to grow again. When the time comes for the giants here, he can kill whoever he wants. But this time it wasn't for nothing. Probably already know the relationship between the giants. The advantage of time is on your side. Ren is naturally calm and unhurried. Sure enough, Tezzolo's reaction. It's pretty much what Ren predicted. He was a businessman, something of a gambling nature. He will not act rashly. I am just a businessman, I advocate the use of negotiation to solve problems. If the strength is not as good as him. Tezzolo didn't bother to say these scenes. Who dares to disobey him? Just pinch it to death. But there are few people present who are weaker than him. The strength of several people is even higher than him. Now choose to take sides. That's a big gamble without any certainty. In case the bet is lost, Ant didn't die. In the future, his entertainment empire will inevitably be frequented by the ant pirates. That is, why should everyone be so angry? People are already dead. People cannot be resurrected from death. As far as I know, Linlin, your relationship with Kaido is not good enough to gamble with your life. At this time, the lone Shark King saw this. He also hurriedly stood up as a peacemaker. Since Tezzolo is not going to make a move, then this fight will not be easy to fight. Ha ha ha, mama, but at this time, the ant suddenly burst out laughing. Auntie, what do you mean? Still want to fight? The situation just now is not good for you, everything must be good. Tezzolo persuaded. Don't you think we're all being tricked by someone? Let me say that the most important thing we should do now is to join hands to destroy the little devil of the allies. Now it's Auntie's turn to propose to kill Ren. As soon as these words came out, many giants frowned. Ren though was the youngest of them all. But the level of danger should not be underestimated. Is Ant really carried away by anger and hatred? But what the ant said next made them understand. Ant did not lose her mind. Instead, I saw it thoroughly. You're hesitating, aren't you? Why hesitate? Because you think this little devil is very dangerous and difficult to provoke. This is enough to prove that he is a threat. Originally we came together, we are the existence that should bring pressure to him, but he was virtually dissolved one by one, and even used to us, causing us to almost kill each other at one point. He killed Kaido. What do you think he is plotting? If he continues to grow, in the future, in New World, will there still be you, will there be our existence? What's even more terrifying is how old is he now? The current allies are by no means allies that have reached the peak, and they can continue to grow and become stronger. Is it really time to come? Do you think he will choose to cooperate with us, or choose the unification of one family? Every word of the ant is on the hearts of the giants. Indeed, Ren is too dangerous. He's still so young. He is more powerful than anyone. Once swallowed Kaido's territory. Are you sure it's just the new 4 emperors? And not the only king at sea. Such a dangerous bud. Don't we do it now, until he puts the knife to your neck before fighting back? Could that be too late? The ant looked at everyone with a slight mockery. I think Linlin is right. Stussy couldn't agree more. This is also the truest thought in her heart. Who said that ant has no brains? At this moment, she is more awake than anyone. Ren remained calm and listened silently. Many giants also frowned. Silver Axe and Akoku also frequently set their sights on Ren. The atmosphere of the scene suddenly became subtle. Let's say less alarmist words, who can predict what will happen in the future? But at this time, Jabba, who had not spoken much, spoke. But as soon as he spoke, it was clear that he was on Ren's side. He didn't speak. Perhaps there are giants who are about to start discussing how to eliminate the threat of Ren. But as soon as he spoke, he interrupted the bad side of things. Ren gave Jabba a somewhat surprised look. Jabba stepped forward. The shipping king Umit also stood up. It seems that everyone's anger today is very strong, not suitable for negotiation. I will go first, and then, you mad will go back by yourself, Lao Su will not serve. As soon as Umit's words came out, an invisible war disappeared. There are people leaving. What a hammer. Indeed, let's calm down first, we are also ready to go. Morgans and the king of usury also took a position. Forget it. Who can say exactly what will happen in the future? Akoku's silver axe also didn't want to be used as a gun. Although just now they were indeed moved. Then let's have a video conference after that. Yes, humph. Sooner or later, you will regret it. Ant snorted unwillingly. Saying that, many giants are planning to leave. But Ren suddenly said something that made people nervous. You can go, but she can't go. Must stay. A resolute word, full of gunpowder. It cannot be refused and is non-negotiable. Ren fell. All nuclear bomb silos were moved directly to the coastline. Every nuclear bomb silo is open. Let all the giants see clearly. The nuclear missiles wrapped in it. Sometimes it's important to retain strength. But sometimes it's just as important to show your muscles. The situation depends on the current environment. And even if now all the forces and equipment are exposed. For Ren, it doesn't hurt, only benefits. It can create an illusion for these giants. That's all your whole cards. Right now it is. But soon it won't. Crowds can make giants misjudge. There is Wanokuni. The allies are bound to usher in a leap forward. Vatamade, see that horrible shell off the coast. There are so many more. Even if it's 4 emperors. There is also some scalp numbness at the moment. This is the real strength of the allies. So many terrible shells. Enough to cover them a couple of times. Dodge 1. But can you hide 10? And even more. Tezolo Akoku et al. Do not know. But not as a last resort. No one wants to try. What if you try it and die? This is also outrageous. Jabba looked at so many nuclear bomb silos. They couldn't help but say in shock. Ma ye, what the hell is this ally? Out of nowhere, they still hold so many terrible extermination bombs. Lone Shark Akoku broke out in a cold sweat. Even if you wipe off a lot with the back of your hand, it still keeps popping up. At the same time, he gave the nuclear bomb a name that he thought was very appropriate. Fortunately, I didn't listen to Auntie's fooling just now. Akoku Silver Axe Tezolo is glad he didn't make a move on Ren just now. Otherwise, it is not certain who will die. Thank you Jabba-san for saving your life. They even thank Jabba in their hearts. If Jabba hadn't stopped it in time. Even if they join forces against Ren. Even if you can win. How many can stand at the end? Auntie, this guy can really provoke enemies. Even if she left here safe and sound today. Ren of the Allies. For a long time, I am afraid that it will make my aunt sleep. And who exactly is Ren going to leave? At first, everyone thought it must be Auntie. Because of all those present. Aunt was most hostile to him. In between, there is Kaido after this incident. Hostile relations want to be eased. I'm afraid it's difficult, if only to leave the aunt. He is acceptable to many. It's up to the two of them to fight to the death. It's better to lose both. Even Stussy thinks so. They can understand too. People like Aunt become enemies. Who can underestimate it? Who can ignore it? Ren was heartbroken. It is not impossible to force the aunt to stay. But wait for Stussy to look up. When trying to be on Auntie's side again. But found that the aunt was really looking at herself with stunned eyes. Stussy was puzzled. Why did the aunt look at her with such eyes? It's not just Auntie. Tezolo, Akoku and they all looked at her in amazement. An extremely bad feeling instantly came to my heart. The fierce man turned his head to look at Ren. The pupils instantly froze. The heart stopped in an instant. When he said that, the person who points his finger is not the aunt. It's yourself. Rumble. Stussy was struck by lightning. How so? How could he choose himself? What hatred do you have with him? What hatred? Actually overshadowed 4 emperors. Why? Stussy's whole head was buzzing. Completely incomprehensible. Even Aunt herself didn't expect that the person Ren named to stay was Stussy. But for Ren, that's for sure. Of all those present, Stussy is a spy for the CPO of the world government. Others even work with the world government. Even if you disclose your own forces and intelligence to the world government. The world government was also skeptical. Even if they provide strong evidence. It is no exception and will never be unconditionally trusted. Of course, more could be. These giants may not reveal any news to the world government. But Stussy is different. She is openly an underworld. The queen who controls the Yuguo Qinglu industry. In fact, it is the elite of the CPO. Report by her to the world government. The world government will most likely trust. It's not good to turn the gun head aimed at Whitebeard and aim at yourself. Although unlikely. But Ren must stop this danger. Everything is best carried out according to his plan. Whitebeard fought the Marine headquarters to the end. He just sits back and enjoys the fruits of the final victory. So even he can let her go temporarily. Anyway, wait for your own legion to improve again. Anytime there is a chance to solve Ant. But now if you let Stussy go, let her take what Wanokuni saw. Report everything to 5 elders. It can be bad. And she just jumped up and down. Huan. Want to get away with it? No way. Stussy subconsciously took a few steps back. The other giants even looked at Ren slightly strangely. What is special about Stussy? Worth this little monster so much to worry about? Say what she specializes. There seems to be only one left. That is the most advantageous weapon for women and men, the wind and snow. Could it be that the imp of the allied army is a womanizer? Although Stussy is not young, he is indeed maintained like a 17 or 18-year-old girl. Later, whether it is negotiation, cooperation, or become an enemy, can be used a little, and they are all glad that it was not themselves who was chosen. They can see it. Ren was resolute, even at the cost of showing all the world-destroying bombs. Do you want to go to all-out war with Ren, a crazy imp, because of Stussy? Is this necessary? Every giant is weighing the pros and cons. Didn't think about it for long. They found nothing necessary. Ayugwotu, although the strength is good. Over the years, it has been on an equal footing with many underground giants. But there is no direct interest with them. Of course, the most important thing. Ren's attitude was clear. Do you want people or do you want to die? If you want someone, you have to go to war with Ren. Then abandon Stussy and leave. Stussy watched the giants' faces change back and forth. This is followed by a stable expression. She knew right away. I am likely to be sold. After all, at this time, dead Taoists do not die. Poor Tao. Whoever makes them is a scattered sand. It's really time to die with people. Protecting oneself is the last word. Since His Excellency Ren likes this bite, we can't stop it. Akoku grinned. Indicate that he understands. If you don't understand, you can't do it. That row of terrible shells is facing them. It is possible for so many giants of them to join forces to create a shield against nuclear bombs. After all, there are many of them who are capable. But here's the problem. No one knows for sure. Will you be stabbed in the back? In the face of such bombs? If you get stabbed, that's too dangerous. Young is good, but count it, Miss Stussy is not a loss. Your Excellency Ren is young and promising. It's not a buried pearl. Tezzolo also congratulated. Apparently the same as Akoku. Stussy was easily abandoned and sold. Under the deterrence of 100 nuclear bomb silos. Their title has also changed from Little Devil to Your Excellency. The truth is always within range. Ren is now more and more acknowledging this statement. You can't do this. Stussy looked flustered. Rao is her extremely strong psychological quality. At this moment, I can't stand this grievance. She is also the queen of the underworld. Elite within the top 10 CPOs. Hold great power. Whoever thought about throwing away like garbage at this moment? She confessed her attitude towards Ren just now. There is some unfriendliness. It's arrogant. Most of what can be said is also the truth. Who would have thought that this man would be so careful? And such a careful man must leave himself. What awaits her may be inhuman hell of torture. But these are fine. What's more, she may not be able to send true intelligence from the allies to Lord Five Elders. This has a good chance of having a terrible impact. Miss Stussy, you have nothing to be afraid of, you have nothing to lose. Your Excellency Ren is a talent, and it is not considered to be wronged by you. It is impossible, after so many years in the Wind and Moon place, you are still a hatchling. Silver Axe teased. Regardless of the moment, Ren is or not. It doesn't matter. Vital. This is a ladder that can be taken for granted. Let Ren step down. Also let them have steps to go down. As long as all of them feel so. That's it. Ren didn't even argue that he was a womanizer. Stussy's heart was slightly cold. These giants of the underground world. Selling people is really high-sounding. Stussy had no choice but to set his sights on his only savior now, and 4 emperors. Just now she has always been on Ant's side. And they didn't interact much before. She has attended many tea parties. And the Ant has several husbands. But she introduced it. Or a rare race captured. There should be some sisterhood between them. Let's find a way to survive first. However, the ant just left a light and fluttering word. Step on Zeus and leave without looking back. Stussy's heart shook for a while, as if he had been hit hard. Although everyone usually sells one after another. What's the point? When my aunt said this, she was telling her. No matter what low price you pay, survive first. She will gather soldiers and horses to fight the allies. At that time, if you win, just drop by and rescue her together. But that's about it. Other guarantees or something. Aunt can't promise anything. Stussy looked at Auntie's back. I looked again at the Kirov airboat. A calm face, like the man who controls everything in the air. At this moment, Stussy suddenly had an absurd illusion. It seems that this man has become the only king of the sea. Countless giants and 4 emperors have to avoid the edge. He doesn't have the invincible conqueror's hockey. There is no absolute force value above the 4 emperors. But this kind of king hockey, it really exists, as if his will. It represents the will of the king. People who can make so many underground giants give in and avoid it. If this is not One Piece, so what is it? Even this momentary feeling. Only she can experience it. Other giants, perhaps, feel that this is just another result of weighing the pros and cons of choice. In Stussy's view, this is a deterrent, invincible king on the rise. Auntie's jealousy, maybe there really isn't the slightest alarmism. It's something that is bound to happen in the future. No way, such a dangerous guy, even if it comes at the cost of your life. Inform 5 elders of his danger, too. Thousands of lotuses. Moonwalk. At the moment when the ant turned her head, Stussy figured it all out. Although her strength is not comparable to 4 emperors. But it's not something you can need at will. The giants chose to sit on the sidelines of what happened to her. But she herself must not give up. Gotta take a step off. Fluffy. Stussy's long legs in high heels instantly covered with pink armament hockey. All the power is poured into these long legs. Speed bursts to ultimate in an instant. One kick into the air. In the air, a dense lotus-shaped sonic boom cloud instantly appeared. She burst out like an arrow off the string. But Ren just smiled faintly. He looked like he wanted to leave her even if he went to war. How can it be that there is no arrangement at all? Stussy just took off into the air. Her missiles had long been secretly locked, and shells whistled away from all sides in an instant. Front, rear, left and right, up and down in 6 directions. 6 pieces of metal frenzy of bullets covered up. Thundered. The spreading explosion is like a mountain range in the air. From head to end, Stussy's whole person is in the midst of fire. For a while, it was impossible to get out of this terrible bombardment. Whoosh! The laser beams rained down in the sky, wave after wave, one after another, shooting towards the center of the explosion. The explosion is getting bigger and bigger. The flames are getting more and more magnificent, and the flame tornado is sweeping away. Be gentle with women. Silver Axe grinned. Guys, why don't you stay as a guest? We can sit down and talk about something. Ren looked at the giants. Indifferently smiled and invited. Seems to be inviting. It's actually sending off guests. Ren really doesn't want to be an enemy of so many giants at once. All-out war, it's good to win. If you lose, you may throw out the treasure of Wano-kuni. So Ren can put up with them for a while. Listen to Ren. Tezzolo and the others looked at the terrifying number of explosive legions. I looked at the 100 nuclear silos again. Medea. Before entering the island, he was threatened many times. This is going into the island. In case this Ren doesn't talk about martial arts. Will they still be able to get out of the island alive? It's not a matter of courage. It's about your own life. No, we still have business. If there is anything to discuss, everyone can discuss and solve it through the video conference of the underground world. The lone Shark King is still wiping his sweat. Morgans fluttered his wings and said politely, "That bird, if there is something that shouldn't be said, don't talk nonsense." Ren said lightly as he stared at Morgan's back. "Then that's nature." Morgans nodded repeatedly. "But in my heart, I intend to." When he left here, the news that Kaido had been knocked down. Be sure to make big headlines. As for the process, well, let's be vague, so as not to be targeted by this little monster. That's not a fake report. It's just that the content is not so detailed. The giants are leaving one after another. Ren invited. But they did not dare to go. Except for 2 people. No, a person to be precise. The other is forced to stay. Isn't Mr. Jabba leaving? Ren looked at Stussy, entangled in warplanes and artillery fire. I looked at Jabba and Yumet again. Jabba-san, let's leave too. Most people left. Don't dare to take it lightly. The fewer people are left, the more they feared that Ren would erupt. Didn't you invite us to stay? Yes, but wait until I take this woman first. Ren said lightly. There is no ill feeling for these 2 people. Jabba helped herself just now. And Yumet wanted to leave though. But because of Jabba, he still forced himself to stay. At least he wouldn't be ungrateful. I just don't know, the crew of the original One Piece, what purpose does it have to find yourself? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.